is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
There's a radical left, Marxist, communist, fascist.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Now, let me see. Those conditions were dizziness, palpitations, and lightheadedness. I always feel like that. Some messages from last night. Glenn in Ramsgate says skiers' days are numbered, as in, the dear leader. Yeah, that's him. Skiers' days are numbered, says Glenn. Just 1,500 days until the next general election. Yeah, they're numbered. These are the jokes, folks. Very specific number, and I don't know whether that number is correct or not, but even if it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. This says, hi, Nick, the issue isn't just temperature, it's also the humidity. Sweating cools the body by allowing moisture on the skin to evaporate and take the heat with it. But in high humidity, sweat can't evaporate properly, so the body struggles to lose heat, increasing the risk of heat stroke. He says air conditioning helps not just by cooling air, but by drying it too, making it easier for the body to regulate its temperature. Well, that sounds lovely. Paul in Poplar says, Nick, the seeds from pub flowers may be free after you pay £8 for a pint. What was that in relation to? These are messages from last night. Don't know. £8 a pint?
What?
It used to be £3.50. What happened to that? Clive in Australia says, Nick, I lived in Czechoslovakia pre-Berlin Wall being torn down. Every day started with Slivovitz to celebrate Names Day. Basically, you were drunk by 7 in the morning celebrating the name of the day. For example, Vladimir or whoever. Is that true? It doesn't sound like it would be true. And this says, come on, Nick. Oh, this is in relation to a teacher who retired after 42 years and got a card from his pupils. Come on, Nick. A card on retirement is fine. The teacher didn't have the same pupils for 42 years, I'm assuming. That would be a pretty bad teacher. That would be a teacher who needs to see me after class. Yeah, if he had the same pupils for 42 years, then no wonder they retired him. But yeah, you're quite right. It wasn't the same pupils for all of that time. So, they did a whip round, and all they could cobble up the money for was a card. I'd be slightly upset, I think. I mean, maybe he got something more from his work colleagues. Who knows? And this says, 21 degrees here right now, Nick, and I'm in the northwest of England. I just had a cool shower and I'm still sweating. I can't cope. My weather app says it's 19 in London. It's warmer up north. 19? You're joking. 119 more like. Here's what everybody else is suffering from over in Europe. Europeans have been warned to stay indoors as the continent goes on high alert for extreme 47 degrees centigrade heat. As the Met Office says, the UK's hottest day is yet to come.
Oh, no.
Oh, my. It's going to get hotter? 47 degrees. I looked that up. That's 116 Fahrenheit, which is a number also known as too much. Too much. The mercury is set to rise to 36 degrees centigrade on Monday in parts of the UK in what could be the hottest June day on record as in ever. An amber heat alert has been activated until Tuesday, covering the East Midlands, the South East, the South West, the East of England, including Somerset, where Glastonbury is taking place. There's going to be 200,000 people who haven't had a shower for 3 days in the baking hot heat. Can you imagine the smell?
Disgusting.
Can you imagine the smell of the toilets?
Dreadful.
Oh. And hay fever sufferers may have to lock themselves inside as a pollen bomb is set to be released on the same day, with very high levels across the South and the Midlands at the start of the week, in what experts say will be a perfect storm of misery.
Emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street.
Meanwhile, forest fires and flash floods have wreaked chaos across the continent. Sweltering infernos have melted roads in Italy. Raging wildfires tore through Greece. Most of Portugal is on high alert for extreme heat and forest fires. And floods in France have seen rivers of water running through the streets of Paris. Sicily and areas of northern Italy have banned outdoor work in the hottest hours of the day. In Nice, on the French Riviera, nearly 250 portable fans have been distributed to schools over the past couple of weeks to cope with the heat. And it's all due to the heat dome, which is where heat is trapped by a high-pressure system taking hold of the continent, as well as another over eastern and central areas of the US. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in science, climate change is going to get you anyway. Of course, listeners in Glasgow will get their own weather. Right, messages from last night. I'm not expecting any calls tonight because I know you're all just too hot, but it would be nice to talk to somebody over the next 3 hours and not just be sitting in here rabbiting on. Now, somebody called last night about the 1975, which is a band that I know absolutely nothing about whatsoever, other than it's just kind of a weird name for a band. But I suppose Led Zeppelin is a weird name for a band. And they were going on and on and on about how fantastic they were and brilliant and marvellous. And this says, the 1975 have now finished their set at Glastonbury. And what a terrible, derivative, self-indulgent, twee pile of twaddle it was. That's an hour and a half of my life I'll never get back. Well, why would you watch something for an hour and a half that is terrible, derivative, self-indulgent and twee? That amounts to a pile of twaddle. I mean, at some point during that hour and a half, did you not think, well, maybe there's something on the other side? Or maybe just turn the TV... I know this sounds a revolutionary concept, but have you ever thought about turning the television off?
No.
No, of course not. Then there'd be this blank hole in the living room. You can't have that. Always must be entertained and amused. Just, put it on and it'll be something nice to catch your eye. I got hooked on those images that you see on YouTube, and it's cartoon generated. Well, it's not cartoon, it's AI. They're not real rooms, but they look like real rooms. And they'll have massive windows out onto, an alpine scene or something like that, or it'll be a beach with the sunset going down, and little butterflies will be fluttering through the air, and every now and again a bird will come in, and it looks like a nice place to be. Well, it looks like, the most fantastic hotel room you ever stayed in. It looks like where Oprah Winfrey would live. And you just put it on, and nothing changes. It changes slightly, like there'll be a coffee cup with steam coming off the coffee, but no people. There's nothing actually happens, and it's on a loop of about 2 hours, something like that. And so you'll see a butterfly, and then 2 hours later you'll see that same butterfly if you're really paying attention. And it's just very, very calming, because nothing's going to happen, and so you can relax. There's not going to be anybody. Oh, wait, I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. Oh, it went away. I hate that. I was looking forward to that one as well. That was going to be the most marvellous sneeze that anybody has ever had in the history of the planet. I was already waiting for my eyes to go cross-eyed. I was thinking I might have to have a cigarette and a lie down. And then it didn't happen. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, these things on YouTube. You just put them on and it just sits in the corner of your room and it makes you feel as though you're in that room that's on the telly. They're great, and there's so many of them, and they change with the seasons. So in the winter, you can have a little snowy scene, and in the summer, it can be, a beach scene, something like that. I think they're marvellous. So if it's almost puts you into sort of a Zen type mood. It makes your mind settle into an alpha wave. I have no idea what that means, but doesn't it sound good?
Groovy.
Yeah, it sounds kind of groovy. Anyway, now we know everything we need to know about the 1975, a terrible, derivative, self-indulgent twee pile of twaddle, which I think was their second album. Pretty sure that's what they called their second album. A terrible, derivative, self-indulgent twee pile of twaddle. Or maybe that's their greatest hits collection. I really don't know. Like I said, I don't really know much about them. I'm just guessing now. But it's probably near to the truth. This says, to solve the issue of ticket touting, which we weren't talking about yesterday, but decided to message in on that subject anyway. To solve the issue of ticket touting, large events could sell tickets only in person. Tour companies would set up travelling box offices in towns and cities, verifying each buyer directly. This way, tickets are tied to real individuals, making fraud and mass reselling far less likely. Well, that's how it used to be. It were gone when I were a lad. If you wanted to go and see The U or the Stones, or whoever it might be, AC/DC.
Rock and roll!
Then you go to a thing called a record shop. You remember those?
No.
No. Yeah, you need to ask the hippie behind the counter if you can have 2 tickets to go and see the Who, please. And he would sell you them for, like £1.50 each. And you'd walk away with your paper receipt, and then you'd present them, and you'd get in and see the gig of your life. But now it all has to be online, doesn't it? Nobody shows up and appears. No one takes their face anywhere anymore. The only place their faces go is up onto the internet with endless selfies. Oh, have you seen this pose? And have you seen that pose? Oh, look at me now. It's just exactly what it is. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. The kids today, eh? What a disappointment. 0345 6060 973. Oh, there is one thing that somebody has... I'll get to the end of these messages from yesterday, because somebody has castigated me, and quite right too, because I left you hanging yesterday. I mentioned something in passing, and then I didn't get to it, which was very bad of me. So I'll come to that in a minute.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
What in places goes on inside that head of yours?
Yeah, not a lot at the moment. Just mostly the word gosh, as in gosh, it's hot. John in London says, if you like Rod Stewart, you must love Bonnie Tyler. I never said I like Rod Stewart. In fact, I said I saw him a little while ago and he was embarrassing. That was the word I used, embarrassing. I think he gave up being great when he decided to go for the money. Because in the Faces, he had one of the best rock voices of all. I mean, because that's the kind of rock voice I like. I was mentioning this yesterday. People like Roger Chapman out of Chapman Whitney Streetwalkers. By the Red Card album, Streetwalkers Red Card album, which is just a marvellous thing. It's blooming fantastic. And, people like that. That's the kind of voice I like. Gravelly and whiskey-soaked. And he had that. And then he went all lycra and do you think I'm sexy? Well, let me think about that for a moment.
No.
Yeah, no, not really, no. To stop asking. So, yeah. And then, of course, he's said some, right-wing things lately, which puts him on the same pedestal as, Roger Daltrey. Roger Daltrey. Rich old geezer said something right-wing. Oh, well, hold the front page. Susie in Pinner says, hi, Nick, could global warming be a result of the Americans constantly sending rockets up into space every day? Surely it damages the ozone layer. Well, that just makes sense, Susie. I mean, they're punching holes in it every day. You believe that? Apart from the ones that explode before they actually take off. Would you get into a car made by that man?
No.
No. No. You want to go to Mars? Yeah, okay, Elon, you first. Step aboard. This says flags are used... Oh, this is the Glastonbury thing. I was hyperventilating about flags yesterday, and I'm surprised that security staff aren't barging through crowds and tasering people holding those flags and beating them to the ground with their sticks. They're just so annoying. And I postulated the only positive reason for somebody to hold a flag, and that is so that your mates go and get you beer or they go and take a pee, and they'll be able to find you when they come back. Because otherwise, forget it. I mean, I've tried that. You're in a crowd and you think, well, I'm just by this speaker stack here, and if I take a direct line there, and then I'm, adjacent to a hot dog stand over here, and the bisecting lines are exactly where my mates are, and you'll never find them, ever. But if you've got a flag, yeah, you will. But then they just hold them up all the time. Can't they have, like, collapsible poles that, they hoist them up when necessary and then take them down when it's not, so that people behind you can see? Because it's not just the the cameras that it obscures the view of. Everybody behind a flag carrier can't see nothing neither. Anyway, this texter says, these flags are used to help lost, drugged-out friends find their friends. When I go to a festival, I do my best to lose my friends. It makes you make new ones, says that messenger. Yeah, but can you remember them the day after? Probably not, no. Sam in Lincolnshire says, I don't know if you've mentioned this, but Rod Stewart says that we should give Farage a chance as Prime Minister. Let's hope Rod gets booed off stage at Glastonbury. Yeah, well, I wonder if the crowd will be aware of that before his appearance tomorrow. Because, they're the ones that did the chant of, oh, Jeremy Corbyn. But I would imagine that the oldsters who would suffer the baking hot heat of the middle of the day to see Rod Stewart in the pyramid stage, they'd be okay with it. All the kids will be off seeing somebody else, probably in a mask and a flak jacket, something like that. Gordon says, what do I do with the I am not a robot button if I am a robot? Sounds like discrimination to me. Yes, we were going on about this too, because I had an experience with my internet providers. No! Exactly. It seems extraordinary that a provider that gives me my telephone line, not that I use it, or I don't even know what the number is, but apparently it comes with the package. Hang on. A company that does telephones, you can't reach on the telephone. Explain that to me, I double dare you. Anyway, you go through this endless thing. A chat bot will be with you shortly.
Oh, no.
Oh, grief. And then that sort of morphed into, those little boxes that you have to tick to prove that you're not a robot. And there was a revelation last night, very, very late last night. And it was an addition to my revelation about how they determine that you're not a robot. To get into some sites, you have to say, tick all the squares in this picture that contain a staircase or a car or a bus or whatever. And then you tick them, and then it asks you to tick more. And then it asks you to, sorry about that, and then it asks you to tick more. And I wonder if people know that it's not detecting whether you can, whether you know what a stair looks like or a bus or whatever. It's actually tracking the cursor that you're controlling with your mouse, because at some point in the distant past you agreed to it doing that, because you didn't read the terms and conditions, did you?
No,
nobody does, and that's in there. That's how they know that you're not a robot, not because you can tick the squares with a staircase in, that you can identify a cat from this picture. It's tracking the movement of your mouse. Because if it was a robot, it would go straight to the relevant box in a direct line. But human beings don't do that. They sort of go around the houses a bit. And that's what it's checking for. You believe that? It's actually checking what you're doing with your mouse. Yes. But it's worse than that. As the last caller on last night's show explained in great detail, because that's what happens on a PC. But what happens on your phone? How do they determine whether you're not a robot on your phone? Well, back in the mists of time, you also agreed to allow them to take control of your camera and your microphone. Yes. Now, you're thinking about that, aren't you? What's the first thing you do in the morning after, having your breakfast? That you take your phone with you and scroll through while you're doing it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you alarmed yet? I know I am. And Gordon says, but what do I do with the I am not a robot button if I'm not a robot? Sounds like discrimination to me. Well, Gordon, we've got to draw the line somewhere. 0345 6060 973. A call For me, Holland Park. Hello, Nick.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you this evening?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I was first phoning up to say, just to tell you that I'm not watching television, but your researcher person, producer, said that actually wasn't good enough. So we had a chat about concerts.
It wasn't good enough?
No, apparently, just to phone and say I'm not watching television doesn't get you on the radio. And just to phone and say you're not listening to the radio clearly wouldn't get you on the radio.
Well, no. Yeah. How would you know the number? Exactly.
That is a very good question. Well,
charade you are. Yeah.
In fairness, I do have LBC on speed dial.
Right.
Anyway, I was thinking, the real point is you were talking about concerts, and I personally think concerts, pop music concerts, are objectively dreadful.
Oh.
I mean, and I don't care whether you spent 2 shillings on a ticket from W.H. Smith's to see, the Who before anyone had heard of them, or you spent £1,500 on hospitality ticket on Ticketmaster. It's on everything. Objectively dreadful. People singing songs that you can hardly hear. You can't see them. They're so far away. They sing worse than if you pay 2 pence to listen to it on Spotify. And the only possible reason to go is so that for weeks, no, not weeks, months before and afterwards, you can regale people, anyone that will listen at the pub, the gym, your workplace, your loved ones, if you've got any left, that you went to this amazing concert. And that is the only... And it's astonishing that it exists, that hundreds of thousands of people go to
That is the operative word. Amazing. Oh, you missed the most amazing show, they'll say.
You must have been regaled in the same way I have, probably by the same people.
No, I was the regaler. I wasn't the regaled. I was the regaler.
That is really sinister. Yeah. But actually, while I was waiting, the text and I missed the show about robots, and I am not the robot. And I was thinking,
can you tick this box? Wait a minute. Can you please tick this box to prove that you're not a robot?
I can't. And how do you know I'm not a robot?
Well, by seeing whether you can tick this box or not. How many fingers am I holding up?
8.
That's close enough. I believe you.
Oh dear. Okay, that's it. I'm actually now so hot. I've got to go and cool.
Yeah, you're all done.
Again.
Okay, excellent work. Thanks a lot, Nick. 0345 6060 973. He doesn't like this and he doesn't like that. And moan. Sarah in Bristol says, Nick, my phone is with them, that evil corporation that I've got my phone and my internet with. Just recognise your exact experience this week, she says. 10 phone calls and the Q robot cut me off 10 times. No. That drives me insane. I mean, I'm not a violent person, but I would like to kill whoever cuts me off after I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Or they'll say, can I just put you, after you waited 3 hours to get through, and then they can't deal with your problem, and they put you through to another department. They say, I'll just put you on hold, and then I'll put you through. And then you know that that's the last you'll ever hear of them. And the phone will go dead. Or it'll just go quiet, and you wait for 5 minutes, and then it's 10 minutes, and you think, am I still connected? I mean, I just really don't know at this point. Sarah in Bristol says, 10 phone calls and the Q robot cut me off 10 times, having promised me a person. They sent a text and none of the links would work. Finally rang again and chose, I'm thinking of leaving you, and I got a person and she sorted me out straight away. I was almost going crazy until then. Yeah, that's probably a good advice. Although, if you do choose, if your problem is that your connection's gone down or whatever it is, or my thing was they told me I hadn't paid my last bill, but I had paid my last bill. And as soon as I got through with a real human being, they admitted that was true, after me wasting half my day trying to correct their problem for free. Like I'm working for them now. But, if you tell them right off the bat that the reason that you're calling is that you're thinking of leaving their service, then they'll put you through to the retention department.
Affirmative.
And they'll say, that's not, you're through to the wrong department. I'll put you on hold and I'll put you through to the right department. Oh, no. Yeah, and then you're in a world of misery. AI has got to get more intelligent than it is right now. I mean, I know that we're at the foothills of its development, but seriously, they've got to get a grip and get it smarter than it is right now because it's annoyingly stupid. It doesn't know anything anymore. In fact, my smartphone has just got more stupid. Now it's updated itself to be tricked out with artificial intelligence. I used to be able to sit in the car and hands-free ask it to move ahead 3 minutes on the podcast that I was listening to when the news came on. And it would do it up until just recently when it updated itself with all this new smart technology. And now, I swear, I was driving along, minding my own affairs, and the news came on and I said the same thing I always say. I said, OK, brand name here. Go forward 3 minutes. And which always works. If you can get it to pay attention to what you say. What's this? Just message from next door. Just remember, you won't hear the news on the whole show podcast. Yeah, I'm not listening to myself. It's not an onanistic drive through the countryside. I'm not listening to myself. Listening to other people. And it always works, as long as you can get its attention. I mean, sometimes I have to yell at it really, really loudly, and other times the softest instruction works. So I figure that out, got no idea. But you say, OK, go forward 3 minutes. And that always works up until when my smartphone became smarter. It upsmarted itself. And now, I swear this is true. The last time I asked it, I said, go forward 3 minutes. And it said, OK, here's a selection of Reiki songs with a bell every 3 minutes. And other noises like that, including but not limited to, That's not smarter. That's a stupid smartphone. But, you know me, it's not like me to complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello, boys.
0345 6060 973. Susan says, hi, Nick, you say you like a certain kind of male singer. What do you think of Brian Johnson out of AC/DC? They just played a gig in Prague last night. Well, I bet they blew the roof off. Rock and roll! I'll say it again. One of the best things I ever saw on TV was... hang on. One of the best things I ever saw on TV was AC/DC at River Plate. And I do believe that it is still available on an internet near you. It is off the scale. It's incredible. And yeah, I do like Brian Johnson. Of course, AC/DC. Who doesn't? I saw them with Bon Scott on their first tour in this country. And Brian Johnson's, he's almost like a sort of a cuddly cartoon character, kind of. But Bon Scott had this, he had a sort of kind of a malevolent sliminess about him. And I mean that in a really positive way. You know, I wouldn't want to hang out with him necessarily, but seeing him on stage, it was quite riveting. 0345, and this is the thing that I was mentioning that I gave you a sort of a cliffhanger last night, and I said I'll talk about it later. And somebody's castigated me as follows: Nick, you can't come on here and say the world could be ending as soon as something huge is happening, and say that you're going to talk about it tomorrow. How are we to sleep? Well, that's a good point, and I apologise.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
It seems like on a daily basis now, the press are telling us that our time on this planet is about to be over. I mean, barely a day goes by where there isn't something about, you know, a nuclear holocaust or, something of that order, or World War III, or, you know, all that. I mean, today it was somebody who had absolutely no knowledge of the subject whatsoever. I think he was a financial advisor, and he got a whole story in the Mail because he was telling people what to do during a nuclear attack. Well, what does he know about it? But he just went on and on and on, like he was some sort of expert. But, that's what counts as news these days, what other people write on the internet. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Kilbride, Andy.
Hello.
Andy.
Hiya.
Yes, Andy.
So, obviously you were saying early on about getting put through to a department and you told the wrong department and put you back through and hold.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that yesterday. I was on the phone to someone who had food poisoning on an airline.
Oh, yeah.
I managed to get food poisoning from in-flight meals, and my travel insurance did not cover, maybe we don't cover accidents on in-flight.
Huh.
I'm trying to phone up to find out who deals with it, because it's so in international travel law. There's so many different things. Where a plane took off from.
Yeah.
Because it's not like this is so it could be like a plane took off from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
It went to India. It's an Indian airline, but you're British. So it's huge. It's not a clear-cut case.
Yeah, well, they're not going to make it easy for you, that's for sure.
And the travel insurance don't cover you because they say it was in-flight, so they don't cover in-flight accidents.
Oh, it's not an accident, is it?
No. No, if I get food poisoning in a hotel, food poisoning and the travel insurance would cover you for medical bills.
Right.
Because it's in-flight, they don't cover you. It's like... anything. If I was on a flight and I got scolded because the cabin crew maybe tripped up pouring coffee and I went over my lap, then it's under international travel law. It happened in the flight, so your insurance wouldn't cover you.
So are you telling me that you've got to get separate insurance for being in the air?
You do for I don't want to be too morbid. But if you are killed in an air crash, not all insurance cover you. You can actually get flight accident insurance. So it does cover you for things that happen in the air. So if you were, like, for example, maybe you opened overhead lockers up and the bag fell down and hit you in the head, then it could do that, or it could... I'm not saying that you have to have that.
Are you all right?
But check your insurance policy.
Yeah, I think whatever your insurance policy, whichever one you buy, you can be absolutely guaranteed that whatever claim you make is not accepted because of some reason in the small print.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're not in business to give money back. That's for sure.
Absolutely. He didn't inform us. So enough, I thought, how can I inform you when I'm in the air? I mean, I can't pick my phone up and inform you to say, by the way, I'm over Caspian Sea just now. I think I've got food poisoning here on this flight here. You just can't do that.
Well, I would always eat before. Well, I say this, but I don't have much experience, and I can't remember the last time I went on holiday. But I think eating before you get on the plane, and then, I mean, how hungry are you? Did you have breakfast before you went? Yes. Did you?
I did.
Probably...
It was a long flight. It wasn't like a short flight. This was a long flight.
How long?
It was a long haul.
How long is it?
Oh, well, I did two stops. I went to Singapore and I went on a airline in Middle East.
Right, long flight.
Long way. And having health issues as well. I need to eat with blood sugars and that.
Right.
Had to eat. But I did a few off in the aircraft.
So what did you order off the menu though? Or did you were in the seats where you don't get to choose what you eat? Which was it? Basically,
yeah. You don't A or B. Basically, it wasn't. I didn't go first class.
Well, nobody goes first class, especially if they're paying for themselves. The only people who are in first class are those who are on expenses.
Yeah,
it doesn't stop them.
First class I wouldn't mind going first class to try it out. I do watch a YouTube in-flight blog.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mention the airline.
It doesn't matter which airline you choose. First class is just too stupidly expensive. Just think about it like this. Wait a minute. Think about it like this. If I gave you, let's say, I mean, if it was from here to Singapore, let's say it's probably like £7,000. If I gave you £7,000 and asked you to sit in a relatively comfortable seat that doesn't lie flat for 12 hours, would you take the money?
No.
What?
Yes, I would take money.
Take the money, yeah. Take the money or open the box. Okay, well, there we go. Another satisfied customer. It doesn't make any sense. Thanks a lot, Andy, and I wish you all the best. First class doesn't make any sense if you're paying for it yourself. Just think of it like that. I'll give you £7,000 to sit in a relatively comfortable seat that doesn't lie flat for that period of time. Would you take it? Yeah. Exactly. If money means nothing to you, then, go ahead and spoil yourself. But if it does, don't. This says, "Hi, Nick. 2 cats have started turning up in my garden since the last couple of years. I get them decent branded dry and wet cat food, sometimes chop up roast chicken, which they love, and when I leave the kitchen door open, they wander in for cuddles. They have a wander around and settle in their favourite spots, and when I'm out, I rush back home to feed them. Well, I hate to break the news to you, but they're your cats. They're not 2 random cats, they're yours now. Your responsibility. Because cats are like that. They don't care. I mean, they're not emotionally attached to their owner. You stop feeding them for 3 hours and they're off. If they manage to wheedle their way into somebody else's home and it's got more plump cushions, then that is the last you'll see of them. Alexandra in Crystal Palace says, Bruce Springsteen is brilliant, Neil Young is brilliant, Boz Scaggs also. But I say Billy Joel is the greatest white American male singer-songwriter of his generation. There, I've said it, says Alexandra in Crystal Palace. Bottle of white. Yeah, well, I mean, we're not creating lists here, but yeah, he is most certainly one of the best. No doubt it. Is he better than Bruce Springsteen? I'm going to say no. But, it's small degrees. I mean, they're in the top tier, both of them, sure. Paul Simon, he's up there. Who else? 0345 6060 973. Derby and Bermondsey says, "Evening, Nick. Carol will know who the 1975 band are, because Matt Healy, the lead singer's mum, is Denise Welch out of Loose Women."
Oh, right, yeah.
Huh. I don't know who Denise Welch is. And I only know who Matt Healy is because somebody was going on and on and on about how marvellous they were last night. And come to find out in a text that I just read that they were absolutely rubbish. A pile of piffle, or words to that effect. Oh, here's another one on that subject. "Hi, Nick. What the heck was Judy on about the 1975? He had a sax player. He is just the singer. The band is all others, not his. It annoys me when people think that singers are the band and they're just the singers. The most important part is the rhythm section. Without that, the integrity of any band is structurally compromised." The most important part is the rhythm section? No. You got that wrong.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, so what we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show, but as I mentioned to you some moments ago, then I suppose I'd better plug our podcast.
Oh, right, yeah.
We do a podcast, me and Carol. We're getting up to about 350 episodes. I cannot believe it. 350 episodes. We started doing it just before the pandemic. Can't say it out loud in case it comes back. Pandemic. When everyone was freaking out about buying toilet rolls. You go to the shops and there was none there. It seems like a dream, doesn't it? It seems like a film that you've seen. But no, that was a real life. Yeah, but anyway, we started like the month before it started. All of that. And I don't think we missed a single week. In all that time that we've been doing it, I don't think we missed... Well, maybe we missed one. You know what? I think we took 2 weeks off over one of the Christmases. Other than that... we've been good boys and girls, most certainly. It's a problem-solving podcast. In other words, you tell us a problem that you have, and we will bend our brains to solving it. Now, it can be, something that you wonder about in your life, it's an issue that you want advice on, or it's a conundrum, something you'd always pondered about, something like that. Send it to this address, nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol@global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
Yeah.
Let's see now. Melbourne, Australia. Hello, Gavin.
Hi, Nick. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I am great, mate.
Sorry, mate. I've had a couple of weeks off. I've had old Mum a bit sick, which quite amazingly shares the same birthday as you.
Oh.
22nd August.
Yes.
I'm 6 years older than you. I'm also a Leo.
Well,
Yeah.
we probably won't get on then.
Well, I notice you do say no to me many times, but anyway, I'm still your number one Aussie fan, mate. I don't want to start on a downer, but I've had to turn the radio off several times. The English radio with this boat immigration stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what you guys are going to do. I've listened to professors and all that. I've had to turn it off. You're basically inviting them there. Give me a motel, a telephone, and driving lessons and sandwiches.
Hey, Gavin, I'm on the border of turning you off.
What we did, which was very horrific, Nick, we let a big boatload wash up on the rocks and many died.
Right, you didn't let that happen. That just happened. I mean, you make it sound like it was designed.
They let it happen, Nick.
Yeah.
They let it happen. The Coast Guard was watching the boats, mate, and they let it smash up against the rocks, and people were drowning and everywhere. It was pretty horrific.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you called from the other
them.
side of the world to bring us all down. I mean, I was doing my best to, make it up and bubbly, but boy,
let's get up on the bridle. Let's get on the bridle.
Sunk us into a pit of despair.
Well, your country's in a bad way.
No, it isn't. People keep writing about that. Our country is doomed and London is gone and all of our cities are rubbish-strewn hellholes, and those people can just take a running jump at themselves. Nothing that they have said is true about that. I mean, I live in London. I've lived in London since 1978, and it is not a rubbish-strewn hellhole. It's quite possibly the best city in the world.
I agree with you. And our city is more dangerous, Melbourne, Victoria. We have the knives, zombie knives, and all that. Anyway,
everywhere does.
Let's get on an upward trajectory. I nearly fell out of bed a couple of weeks ago, listening to James O'Brien falling asleep, and sometimes he can put you to sleep, but he's such an intelligent man.
You're in the middle of the night when he's on, aren't you?
No, he's on about 8 o'clock at night, mate. 7 o'clock at night, I think he comes on, yeah. So anyway...
Do you not have... what's Australian radio like? Because what I know of Australian radio is very limited, and it's limited to one person who was really big a long time ago, and he was in Sydney, and he had the breakfast show on station...
John Laws.
No, it was on a station called Triple M, and it was Doug Mulray. You ever heard him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went on Doug Mulray's TV show once as a guest.
Why was that?
Funny guy. What?
Why were you a guest on his TV show?
Because the Melbourne Cup was on and I had to go in there and talk about horse racing.
Oh, right. You're into...
Yeah. He used to have a TV show, like a variety TV show, yes. So I went on that. Good bloke, Dougie. He's a top man.
I've never seen his TV show, but I've got some cassettes of him, like he used to do a best of his weekly... or his weekday breakfast show on a Saturday. And it's just some of the funniest radio I've ever heard. He's just so good.
He's a funny man. He had a show on. He got another show. Kerry Packer, who was our billionaire who owned Channel 9, he gave him another show. And Kerry Packer pulled it off the air in the middle of the show because it was about nude people.
Oh, yeah. What did they replace it with?
I don't know. People with clothes on.
Yeah, right. People, they took off the nudity and added clothes. Yes.
Correct. When James called you Mr. Margie, I nearly fell out of bed. I said, "That's my man."
He called me Mr. Who?
Mr. Miyagi. The lady told you that the week after, because as I said, I've had Mum's been a bit ill and my cat was crooked too. So he called you Mr. Miyagi. I nearly fell out of bed.
Who's Mr. Miyagi?
Oh, he's the guy in I think it's Karate Kid, isn't it? Wax on, wax off. One of them.
I've got
That's
no
what
idea.
he calls you, Mr.
Mr.
Margie.
Not
It's a
Mr.
movie,
Yeah, not Mr. Magoo.
No, Mr. Magoo. Mr. Margie's intelligent.
Right.
You're,
Okay, well,
you're
I'll
okay,
look that
relax.
up later. Okay, all right, good work, Gavin. I gotta go. Thanks a lot, mate. Very, very shouty. But, you know, that's Australians. Unless that's a racist thing to say, in which case I take it back. No, I don't. Yes, I do. This text says, I'm glad you're mentioning Aphex Twin. He's such a unique and great talent. Yes, I like the more ambient stuff rather than the tracks where he goes, Menno! This says, I'm sure your glamorous assistant would agree that you are indeed frightening. Frightening? Well, first of all, no, I'm not. And second, when did that ever come up? I'm frightening? Marielle from Swansea says, hi, Nick, the reason we didn't burn so... Oh, yeah, I pondered about this last night. It seems to me in our youth, if you're sort of my age-ish, then you could spend all day... God, what's wrong with my throat? You could spend all day on the beach in this country without sun lotion on. In fact, sun lotion used to be just oil without any SPF factor. It just used to be, a moisturiser. I mean, you didn't get burned. I mean, is that my imagination, or did that actually happen? Was it actually like that? I mean, I can remember getting that smelly pink stuff on me from, my mum had to dab a bit on shoulders and that. Whatever that smelly pink stuff. The smell of it. But I don't remember it being like this, for the heat of the sun, the intensity of the sun. And Marielle in Swansea says, the reason we didn't burn so easily is because we hadn't yet done all that damage to the ozone layer. After my O-levels in 1984, she says, we had a heat wave and we spent months on Caswell Bay in Swansea wearing coconut oil. Yeah, that's right. Coconut oil. That's what people used to put on them. Why? I mean, that just makes you fry, I would think. You could actually do a fry-up in coconut oil. I mean, I think that you can actually do that, can't you? Don't make no sense. But, maybe we hadn't done all that damage to the ozone layer. Maybe the sun's rays are stronger now. Somebody should look into that very strongly. 0345 6060 973. Bootle. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Nick.
Sarah.
How are you doing?
I am great, mate.
Well, this week's instalment of Farage and Co. I thought he's been in charge, actually, because, Rob has been saying...
Oh, Sarah, Sarah, it's a very bad line. We're going to call you straight back, all right?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to call Sarah back immediately, if not sooner. See if we can get her on before the news. Okay, these are messages from tonight. This text says, oh, Nick, no, please don't start talking about the weather. I'm in Glasgow. I'll check on that, hang on. I mean, it can't be unpleasant in Glasgow. It's so hot everywhere else in the country. Surely not. Just checking for you. Ooh. Okay, in London tomorrow, it's going to be 87 degrees. In Glasgow, 69. That is some difference. Mind you, 69 might be a little more pleasant than 87. And then, the sort of mid-60s for the next couple of weeks. But at least it won't rain every day. Can you believe that?
No.
Yes, Sarah. Let's try this line.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Sarah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Right. Well, seeing as Rod's going on about his political loves, and we should try and give Farage a chance, to be perfectly honest, this week I thought he was in. I mean, if we're talking about musical bands, both him and Starr were in one called The Dodgy Dossiers and Stats, to be perfectly honest, judging by what's been coming out from the pair of them. And you look and you go, who can tell the difference these days?
Between Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage?
Apart from the tie, but then again, I'm beginning to wonder. I mean, I think, have I just dropped into a bad episode of Spitting Image? Because both of them are singing off the same song sheet, and you're thinking, oh, hello, where have we got these from? I dread to think. Because when people have been listening to them, I go, hang on a minute, who's robbed whose script here?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. In what way are they the same?
I will explain. After this week's antics in Parliament between Starmer and the Backbench Rebellion, which you should have seen the face he pulled. I mean, honestly, there wasn't enough sugar dummies in the world to cheer him up. How dare they do this to me? I'm the leader. I'm the leader. Oh, dear me. Don't you like it when someone tells you off for doing the wrong thing? And the best part of it was Farage was there, and he was going, that's not fair. You've nicked my script. How dare you? I mean, the faces on them. And then, when they had to go when Starmer was off at NATO, and he went, how dare you do this? I'm aping Daddy Donny. And you go, you are aping that? Oh, please.
Sarah, I don't, whatever you're having, take less of it, because nothing you just said actually happened. Apart from that, good effort. No idea. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Is the heat causing you to have hallucinations?
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Yeah! Dude!
Do you mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
Hang on a minute. We won against Germany 3-2 in the Under-21 World Championship. I think that's worthy of a tune, don't you? I mean, I know it's not specifically an English tune, but I'm going to co-opt it just for this one event. How about that? 3-2 Germany. I mean, that says positive things about the future, eh?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Peter in Exeter says, you like Steve Wilson. Have you listened to his band Porcupine Tree? The album Fear of a Blank Planet is very good. I listened to some of his old stuff. One album by Porcupine Tree. It might be their only one. I don't know. But it wasn't... Nothing that I heard was a patch on the Outlier, which is his new album, my favourite album of the year so far, Steve Wilson. Just marvellous. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now who's been waiting the longest. I'll be totally fair about this. It looks to me like Andrew in Cumbernauld. Andrew.
Oh, good evening, Nick. How are you tonight?
Yes, very well, thanks.
One of your previous callers you were saying nobody pays for first class travel themselves.
No.
But I did so myself once, and it was one of the most wonderful holidays I had. It was a first-class all-line rail rover, and it cost about £500 or £600
Oh,
for the week.
Wow, that's different. That's a plane. I'm talking about... Oh, are you talking about train?
Yes.
Yeah. No, trains are different. Trains are much less expensive, although they are still stupidly expensive for a first-class train ticket, but not like a plane.
Yeah, but it is... If you can manage... Not everyone can manage it, and I couldn't afford it now, but if you can manage it, it is worth every single penny. Whatever your mode of transport, if you can do it, then it's so much better.
Well, I tell you what, the only time I ever turned left on a plane was when I was working for a radio station whose owner also owned an airplane company.
Well, yes, we can probably... Did he also have trains at one point as well?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yes.
And I got upgraded.
Get you.
And I tell you what, it was you never want to fly any other way again for the rest of your life. And the best part of it was when I looked through the curtains at all of the people in the back where I would normally be. And they looked like they were having the worst time compared to me and everybody that was around me behind the magic curtain.
You never want to turn right again?
No.
And there was just one other wee thing, is when Classic FM started all those years ago, they'd set themselves up with the transmitters and the wavelength that they were going to use. And for about 2 months before Classic FM dusted off the turntables and actually started broadcasting, they broadcast birdsong.
They did. I remember that. It was
2 months of birdsong.
I know, it was marvellous.
And a lot of people, when they said, right, that's us done with the birdsong, here's some Mozart or some Bizet, people actually complained. They said, look, can we have the birdsong back, please?
Yeah, get this awful Mozart racket off and bring back the cuckoos.
Yes. Brahms' third racket, can we have the birdsong?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so as I say, first-class travel, I couldn't do it anymore, but... if you can do it, it's always very, 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 very nice.
It sure is. All right,
very
good work.
civilised.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. 0345 6060 973. Quentin in Nottinghamshire says, Nick, as a fellow boomer, I was tickled to hear you refer to suntan lotion last night. I used that phrase for years until my kids started looking dumbfounded and told me, it's sun cream. Keep bigging up the 70s, says Quentin. I don't need to. The 70s big up themselves. I mean, the 70s, without a question of a doubt, was the best decade for, I would say, music and films. Tell me I'm wrong. In fact, don't tell me I'm wrong, because I'm right. No other decade has come even close to it. Certainly not for music, and probably not for films. 1970s. Now, okay, the hair was terrible, and as were the clothes. But everything else, and the cars were abysmal, and nothing worked, and there was dirt everywhere, and rubbish bags piled up, and dead people in the streets, and all of that. So it was miserable, and you don't really remember how bad things used to be until you see a 1970s TV program. And London used to be a bomb site in the 1970s. I mean, look at old episodes of the Sweeney... Well, old episodes, they're all old, but episodes of the Sweeney or Minder or something like that. And they'll take a trip around London and there'll just be, like, rubble everywhere. It's amazing how unmodern everything was in as recently as the 1970s. And I do know that for people who were, born much more recently, that does seem like an odd thing to say, that the 1970s was recent. But it was. Seems like yesterday to me. 0345 6060 973. I still have to talk about the end of the world as we know it. There's several things that are all going to happen at more or less at the same time. I don't know which awful thing to talk about first. Leave it with me. But meanwhile, here is a call in York. Jan.
Hello, Nick.
Jan.
How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Very good. That pink stuff that your mum used to put on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Was it calamine lotion?
Calamine lotion. That's right. I can smell it now.
And it used to sort of dry on your skin, didn't it?
To a white, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What was that?
What do you mean?
What was it?
Well, I don't know.
Hang on a minute.
You used to put it on your skin to soothe it, didn't they?
Yeah, but what is it?
I don't know.
I'm going to have to look that up. Calamine lotion. What is calamine? Because we just trusted that it was something that you slather all over yourself. Calamine lotion. But the best part was, as you say, when it turned white. Calamine lotion. Oh, you can still get it. £2.56 for 200 millilitres. I'm thinking of buying a couple of pints of that after work. Calamine is a topical anti-itch medication that's used to treat minor skin conditions and irritation. Oh, well, maybe it would work on that band, the 1975.
Right. I've never seen them, so I don't know what they're like.
Well, somebody's messaged me in earlier saying that they were irritating, so maybe it would work on them.
Maybe. Right. A couple of things, if I can. Oh, no, three. But very quick, though.
Go on.
The first one, you were talking about putting water on your forearms to keep you cool, weren't you?
Yes. An idea that I got from kangaroos.
Yeah. Well, my mother always used to say, put your wrists under the cold tap, that'll cool you down.
Yes.
But now, I think it's a waste of water.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to run the tap. All you have to do is just moisten your forearms. And then just leave them wet, and then the evaporation will do the rest.
Yeah, but I can see people running the tap forever, can't you?
Well, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't do that.
Well, I know they shouldn't, but people do. And, you know, I think we take water for granted.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in this country, most certainly, because, I mean, there's other countries that you would go to on holiday that you don't trust the water that comes out the tap, do you? I mean, even if you go to Europe or America, there's places in America that you wouldn't drink the water coming out of the tap because it's brown. Oh, God.
Terrible.
In some places, you can actually set fire to the water that comes out of the tap.
God. And I think bottled water should be abolished because...
Well, we can't have both. You can't not drink the water that comes out of the tap and ban bottled water.
Well, you can drink the water that comes out of the tap here.
Oh, here, yes.
Yeah.
You can, yeah.
Because, do you know, it takes 5 litres of water to make 1 litre plastic bottle.
Does
That
it?
is awful, isn't it?
It takes 5 litres of water to make a litre bottle that you put a litre of water in.
Correct.
So that's 6 litres of water in total.
Awful, isn't it?
Well, that is bad.
And then they go, plastic bottles, where do they go?
In the bin.
Anywhere. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think they all go into a big hole in the ground, don't they? I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever that in sorting out our rubbish into 86 different departments and buckets, that anybody that collects it is going to do anything other than just chuck it into a big hole in the ground.
No, that's another thing. But let's start that tonight.
Don't start me on that, Jan.
No. Can I just say something about Glastonbury?
Yes.
I was watching this afternoon a little bit, not much, and I see somebody had a big flag, and it just said on it, ban flags.
Yeah, there's always some joke every year. Somebody's got some witticism, ban flags. Yeah, good idea.
But you won't be watching Rod tomorrow then?
No, I've whenever it was that he did Hyde Park. Now, to me, it seems like a few years ago, but I learned today that the last time Neil Young played Glastonbury was 2009. I could have sworn it was, like 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
2009.
Well, time flies.
So I've seen Rod Stewart relatively recently, and it was kind of embarrassing. I mean, he came on it was in Hyde Park, and he followed. He made the error of having his support act be Stevie Nicks, who was phenomenal. I mean, she was if there was a roof on the place, she'd have blown it off. She was terrific. And then on comes Rod in this bright yellow suit, and he just kind of croons like he's doing a show in Vegas. It was kind of inappropriate, I thought.
Well, the Radio Times says that he's promising us a sexy, glamorous show featuring special guests, an orchestra, and bagpipes.
Right. Well,
so that doesn't make you want to watch it.
No, that sounds quite Vegas, doesn't it? The way that's described. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good, does it?
No, it doesn't sound like rock and roll to me.
And you like Kenny Everett, don't you?
Yes.
Did you know that one of the channels is showing his Kenny Everett video show?
No, I did not. Which channel?
Yeah, that's TV3.
What? There's a TV channel called That's TV3.
Yeah.
So presumably there's a That's TV 1 and 2 as well.
I assume so, yeah. I was scrolling down the thing, the other night, and I noticed Kenny Everett.
Huh.
Anyway, it's on I think it's on every Friday night, about 10:30ish.
Right.
Have you got Sky?
Well, don't say that, because I'm on every Friday night at 10:30.
Well, I know, but you could record it, couldn't you?
No, that's right. I could tape it, yes.
Yes, tape it. What, have you got Sky?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
183.
183. I'd never heard of that channel. There's too many channels. There's too many channels. There's too many channels that have got too much stuff that... There's just too much television. I can't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah, you're right. There is. It's awful, isn't it?
It doesn't matter how much a brain you've got in your little machine there, how much memory it's got. I'm always nudging the end of it, because I used to have something like 250 megabits in the old days, and it was always 99% full of stuff that I was probably never going to get around to watch. Now I've got a terabyte's worth, which is hundreds of hours, and I'm still at 99% full of hundreds of hours of TV programs that I'm never going to get around to watch.
Oh, dear. Well,
but this is my life, Jan. It's just one constant swirl of misery.
I know, isn't it a pain? Anyway, Kenny Everett, you can see him again if you want.
All right, will do. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Jan. Cheers, my dear.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello, number please. Trying to connect you. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Yes, I'm trying to connect a person in South Shields called Joanne. Hello, Joanne.
Good evening, Nick. While talking to you, I'm watching Glastonbury on mute, and I feel ancient. I'm only 53 and I feel like I'm 90.
53 years old. There's probably all ages at Glastonbury. I bet there's people who are nudging 90 years old who are going.
Yeah, Neil Young was on a minute.
Well, I said, people nudging 90 years old, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what you were saying about the 70s is so true. Now, yes, I think you were right about film and music, but everything looks grey. Everything on TV, evacuating. God, was there ever sunshine?
Yeah.
You go and watch Columbo, because it's set in LA, that's why I like American stuff from the 70s. I think it just looks sunny.
It's in colour, exactly
and it's
right.
rich people being murdered, so it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's always rich people being murdered on TV.
Yeah, got Council Estate with his kids on bikes and wheelies.
I know, and the cars are so huge they're like the size of a bus. And I always loved the way that, and it was always noticeable with Cannon. Do you remember Cannon, the big roly-poly detective? He used to have this car that was so massive, and they'd only have two doors.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind. And he would put the car in park, and then he would get out, and the car would wobble like it was a jelly.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just sit still like our cars do. It would just it would wobble.
Yeah, you can hear the wobble, boom. It's true.
Yeah.
And Columbo used to walk round with his cigar, and he's like, that ash is going everywhere. For God's sake.
Yeah.
You're terrible. What I wanted to phone about, though, is when you were talking about Rod Stewart, and I'd heard the comments and thought, well, a bit disappointing. My son used to sort of be a runner on TV and film and music because he's in a band.
Oh, yeah.
And he met Van Morrison, and he was sort of his lackey for the day at the concert. He said he's the worst man in music. He said, Mother, I had to go out in the crowd and search for a nest of lemons. The man just said, get me a nest of lemons.
What's that?
And he thought, I don't know, he's just being difficult. And he said, where Dexy's Midnight Runners, it was like, we'll have a 4-pack of Stella and some fish and chips, please.
Yeah. Well, he was lucky not to have to run around for Van Halen because they'd ask for a bowl of M&Ms and take all the brown ones out.
All right. Oh, I always thought it was the blue one.
Well, the blue, the red, whatever. Yeah, they just put that in to make sure that the people who were organising their backstage had read the contract.
Has anyone ever disappointed you that you've met, Nick?
A hero? No, I disappointed myself when I met my hero. There's a guy called Neil Rogers who is the reason that I'm doing this. He's a talk show host in America, and somebody sent me a cassette from the States, and they said, you've got to listen to this guy. And this was when I was at Radio Luxembourg, and I was doing a top 40, hey, here's another great hit, that one of those shows.
Smashing nicely, yeah.
Exactly. And somebody sent me this cassette of this guy who was just off the scale and just brilliant, so funny, so fast and so aggressive, and just the best talent I've ever heard on the radio. And they said, you've got to listen to this guy. And I played it, and I was I was transformed immediately, and what I wanted to do changed in a moment. And I changed my top 40 music show into a talk show overnight without telling anybody.
Wow.
Because it was my first proper job, and I didn't know any better, and so I just did it, and no one said a word from management. Nobody made a peep, and so I sort of called him from the phone that I had in the studio at Luxembourg.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm coming over to America. Can I come in and sit on one of your shows? And he said, yeah, okay. And so I sat there and I watched him do it, and it was just extraordinary. And afterwards, he came in, and I just sort of went. I just couldn't form words, and I just sort of just stood in front of him going, and I saw him look at me, and I saw him think, oh God, another one of these, and he turned around.
Oh, and he'd never get know how funny you are.
And he left. Oh, so yeah, I disappointed myself when I met my hero.
Oh, Don. But never mind. Here, we can all thank him for this, Nick. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right, thanks a lot, Joanne. 0345 6060 973. Now, have I done the break yet? We don't know. I'm just going to have to check the schedule. Now, there's 1, 2 to go. So that's 1. Okay, no, I have done it. I must have done it already. I'm a good boy, I am. I still have to tell you about the end of the world as we know it, and we feel fine. There's several ways in which the Earth is about to come to a screeching halt. But first, some important calls. Here's one in East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Are you well?
Yes, very well, thanks.
Good. You were talking about old-fashioned medicines. Did you ever come across something called gentian violet?
Called what?
Gentian violet.
No, I never heard of that. Gentian violet.
It came in a little, but it was liquid, came in a bottle. When you screwed the top off, it had a brush that went down into the liquid.
Yeah.
And if you got a cut or abrasion or whatever, your mother pinned you down because she had to and painted the wound with it stuff. It stung like bee stings.
Is that this thing that makes your skin go red? Like it's painted on?
Yeah, it's painted on and it's bright purple and it doesn't go for 10 days. So you have this little purple, you have to go to school with a little purple patch on where you cut yourself. It eventually got outlawed. But
really?
I'll tell you what, it was really effective because it dried the whole wound up.
Right.
So it killed the bacteria and about 2 layers of living flesh at the same time. and the wounds never got reinfected, and your mates would end up getting Savlon or something put on them, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
Right.
But this gentian violet, apart from the embarrassment of having to have little purple patches on when you went to school, really worked well. But that isn't why I rang up. I sort of rang up to ask you.
Because a purple patch, I mean, that's something that somebody goes through if they have a very successful period in their life. It's a purple patch. That's what that's called, isn't it? So I wonder where that comes from. What is the derivation of purple patch in reference to somebody's a run of good luck? Royalty
wear purple. So if you have a purple patch, you are in the royalty for a little while.
Now, do you know that, or did you just guess that?
No, I read that somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So, but the reason I rang up was to ask you, are you not sycophanted out in the same way I am? I mean, we had Mad Nad looking at Johnson with her little puppy dog eyes, no matter how bad he was, she excused him.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Hegseth in America crawling up Donald Trump's fundament. We've offered him the chance to come over and kiss the King's ring. He drops his folio and Starmer picks it up. But this week we've got Rutte, the head of NATO, calling him our daddy. For God's sake,
I wonder if Rutte was actually being a bit sarcastic at the time, calling Trump daddy. Of course, Trump doesn't get sarcasm. He just thinks that everybody is either praising him or it needs to be encouraged to praise him at the point of a gun, metaphorically speaking.
Oh, no, but there's only so much you can stand, Nick, and you get reform characters coming on and going, oh, great leader Nigel this, Nigel that. And I'm thinking, just grow up. I mean, at least a couple of them had a right go at him, Lowe and Habib. I mean, fair enough with that one. But the phone on them, why?
It's the same thing as Donald Trump's fans in America. They've joined a cult. Farage has got a cult following here as well, and there's no talking to them. They can't be reached, they can't be reasoned with, and they absolutely will not stop ever.
Correct.
Terminator 2. But yes, it's a cult. That's the thing. And as for Trump dropped the papers and Starmer picked them up, I mean, people are making such a thing about that. For crying out loud, Trump is about 87 years old, and Keir Starmer must be about half his age, and Keir Starmer is able to bend at the knee. Trump can't bend at the knee. When have you ever seen his knees bend?
No, I appreciate that one, but it's the overall thing. It just seems to go on and on and on. And you think, why don't you stand up? You know, look people in the eye and tell them the truth.
Well, there are a couple of people who are doing that. And the chap who's just taken over Canada, what's his name? The current leader of Canada used to be the governor of the Bank of England. Yeah. Anyway, he's standing up for himself and the good people of Canada, which is excellent. As is Gavin Newsom. He is scoring maximum points. Gavin Newsom he's really fighting back. I mean, every other either Republican or Democrat state leader is just kowtowing to the Donald, and Donald is just sort of steamrolling over all of them. But Gavin Gavin Newsom, yes, of the most important state in America, is standing up to him. I think brilliant. Finally, about blooming time.
It could get interesting in New York because the guy that's won the Democratic nomination, what will Trump make of that if he wins?
Well, what they're trying to make it, because he's a Muslim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what they're trying to do, what the Republicans are trying to do is deport him.
The South African Muslim.
Yeah, I'm not making that up. Their response to a Muslim winning the Democratic primary for mayor is to try to deport him as an illegal alien. Wow.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will. Yeah. All right. Good work. Thanks a lot, Mike. 0345 6060 973. Caroline says heat waves should be banned permanently and forever, sending a memo to God. Well, the best of luck with that, Caroline. This says cards aren't cheap, you know. What does that mean? What's that in relation to? Cards aren't cheap, you know. Okay, message coming from next door. The retired teacher. Oh, who got a card from his pupils, right. Well, that is true. I mean, it costs about $3.50, which means that in a class of 35 kids, they each gave 10 pence. Big blooming deal. Gary in Anglesey says, do you think Pete Hegseth gets his trousers from the same tailor as Dishy Rishi, or has he just got very large feet? Perhaps they're deliberately tight around the ankles in case he loses control on a rant. I mean, that guy is just off the hinge, isn't he? I mean, they all are. They're all pretending not to know things just in order not to upset Donald Trump. Like all of those billionaire businessmen that he's got, doing deals here and deals there, and they keep telling us that, tariffs aren't paid by the American consumer, they're paid by the country that Donald Trump is tariffing. And they must know that's not true, because that's just basic economics. I mean, any fool know that, but they can't tell the truth because Donald Trump either doesn't know it or is pretending because he knows his fans don't know it. Yeah. But Hegseth is just about the worst. And, of course, he was hired for the exact same reason as Donald Trump hires anybody else. And I mentioned this yesterday. It only struck me like a bell 2 days ago when I was watching Hegseth on TV, and he was, just like screaming at the press pack in front of him. We just couldn't believe what they were looking at. The reason that he hires all these people is because Donald Trump isn't running a government, he's running a TV show. And that's all you need to know about it. That's why he's hired every single person, is because he's staffing a television show. All of them look good on TV. I mean, coincidentally, well, it's not a coincidence, but most of them have come from Fox Television. Fox News, which isn't news, it's just a propaganda wing of the Murdoch empire. Well, it's all propaganda, isn't it? And that's why Hegseth is there, and that's why all of those women who look like they spend all day taking selfies and ironing their hair, that's why they're all there. It's not because of excellence in their chosen field or any knowledge of what it is they're supposed to be doing. It's because they look good on TV, and that's it. God, what a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
0345 6060 973. The end of the world as you know it, and I feel fine. News of that coming up. First, a couple of texts, and then I'll take a call. This text says, Nick, I was in Pompeii on Friday, and I was amazed to hear from the tour guide that Pink Floyd played at the ruins in 1972. Did you know that? Are you having a laugh? Did I know that? Martin says, we need an alien invasion ASAP. If a saucer lands outside my house, my bag's packed and I'm getting on that ship. Only aliens can stop the tangerine scream. Yeah, aliens. Or, in other words...
The little people. But it ain't like you think. It ain't leprechauns, don't you see? It's little men from Mars or somewhere. And it ain't a toadstool they're under. It's a spaceship.
Yeah, write that down. And Leon Hanwell says, Nick, have you seen the video of Queen Maxima of the Netherlands mocking the mouth of the world president-elect and supreme orange leader of the Dinglings? Yes, it was so mean of her, hugely mean, but I strongly advise you to watch it multiple times. I hope you look it up. This isn't homework, he says in brackets, but it sounds like homework to me. As I am sure you will agree, it's probably the most shocking thing a royal has done since Meghan Markle caused climate change, the pandemic, and personally had a hand in every bad thing that has happened anywhere in the world since she met Prince William, or the Duke of wherever he is, the Duke of these days. Thank you, says Lee. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your attention in this matter. What's that Trump sign-off, by the way? I mean, he ends every one of his demented screeds with, thank you for your attention to this matter. Where did that come from? And yes, I have seen Queen Maxima out of the Netherlands mocking the mouth of the world's president-elect and supreme orange leader of the Dinglings. It's proper funny. She can't believe... It's like she's seeing him for the very first time and she can't help herself. But she don't care. She's a queen, for crying out loud. She can do anything she blooming well wants. It's very mean, and she's not my favourite queen. Oh 0345 6060 973. Chiswick, Liam.
Hi, Nick.
Yes, Liam.
I think good, nice to speak to you, Nick. I think you're totally wrong about saying the 1970s were better. The best decade, I think you said.
Yes.
60s were far better.
No, they weren't.
They were?
No, I'll tell you why they weren't. People think that the 60s were better because they're thinking about it, they're thinking about all the things that happened in the 60s, about how groovy it was, and London was this swinging scene, man, and, they had all the shops on the King's Road and all of that stuff, which they didn't actually take part in. They just remember it from films and TV programmes of that period. Because the amount of people that were actually parading up and down King's Road must be in the low thousands. Most of the rest of the country was still stuck in the 1950s in the 1960s.
Oh, no, I agree. My grandparents worked in a factory in Bradford at the time.
Right. So they were in the 1940s in the 1960s.
No, but I mean in terms of culturally, what, Connery or Marr?
Say that again?
Connery or Marr?
Connery or Marr? What does that mean?
Marr.
Or Marr?
Sean Connery or Roger Marr?
Oh, Moore!
Sorry, my apologies.
Well, Sean Connery.
Yeah, so the 60s are better.
Well, I think we need to cast the net a bit wider than just Connery or Moore.
All right, Callaghan and Thatcher.
Right, well, okay, but Thatcher was more the 80s. I've associated her with more the 80s than the 70s.
Yes, yes, yeah. All right, Heath and Callahan.
Right, well, I'm not really talking about politics. I wasn't interested in politics in the 1970s. I was a kid, and I was interested in music, and the 1970s had it all. The 60s had the Beatles and early Rolling Stones, and, you know, a little bit more...
Do you prefer the Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
It depends. I would rather go and see the Stones live, and I'd rather listen to the Beatles' studio output, mostly.
Well,
but I refuse to pick between. I refuse. No. Let me think about that. Yeah, no. And I refuse to have to pick between the Stones and the Beatles. I mean, if at all, I would pick between the Stones and the Who, but not the Stones and the Beatles. That's you can't. The Beatles are there on their own, and then everybody else is, you know, slightly beneath them. And I've only come to realise that late in life.
I'm a child of the 90s,
right?
So I'm doing this retrospectively.
Right.
But I do think that the best thing of the 70s is the television.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Like what? How can you know what was on TV in the 1970s if you're a kid of the 90s?
Because the bloody BBC repeated it.
Over and over again, right? Yeah.
The Wombles.
The Wombles. Is that on repeat?
Dad's Army.
Dad's Army. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm mostly talking about music. The 1970s had it all. They had classic rock, so you still had the Beatles and the Stones and all of that, and then you had then you had disco and punk and hip hop all at the same time. I mean, beat that. No other decade had that.
No, I want 4 people in a nice 3-piece suit dancing with guitars on a bloody bomb site in Pimlico.
Well, then it's the 1970s for you, Liam, and I wish you a happy journey. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I'm going to read the first part of this email again because I've got the image of her doing it, see it into my mind. Lee in Hanwell says, have you seen the video of Queen Maxima of the Netherlands mocking the mouth of the world president-elect and supreme orange leader of the Dinglings? Yes, I have, and it's hilarious. She's a very funny queen. Alex says, how much power will Americans give to Adolf Schleicher before they realise he's destroying everything? By giving him whatever he wants, the US Supreme Court is making itself irrelevant. What good's a constitution if nobody's willing to uphold it? Yes. And still, newspapers in America are treating this as though, he's broken a few rules, but, fortunately we still have, the rule of law. And we'll get through this, and your country is being taken over. Alarm bells should be ringing. Wake up. Mark in Southampton says, enjoying the weather segment here. If the heat carries on, I'm going to have a Michael Douglas episode of Falling Down. Flies will be smashed everywhere in the car. Flies. Justin in Andover says, but it is in Mallorca. What is? But, wait, Justin from Andover, but is in Mallorca. Gotcha. Hey, Nick, it's 39 degrees centigrade today in Majorca, but it's nice and cool in my air-conditioned room, just saying, says Justin. Yeah, thanks a lot, Justin, but we don't wish to know that. Right, I have to tell you about the end of the world as we know it, because it's very, very serious, and it's coming right at us. Nothing to be worried about. It's just the extinction of all life on Earth. That's all.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
So they opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk.
Ian in Weybridge says, I don't know what all the fuss is about regarding the hot weather. I'm sitting in my living room. It's nice and cool. I've got the aircon set to 19 degrees centigrade. Yeah, I think we need less of that, because people aren't going to be happy to hear that, Ian. Mary says, I do hope people are putting water out for the birds. We don't want them dying of thirst, poor loves. Oh, that's a good idea. Because it's not going to... Of course, listeners in Glasgow will get their own weather. But for most of the rest of us, we're not going to see rain for ages. So, yeah. Birds like cats, though, do they not like water that's just sitting there? Do they prefer it to be running? It's a very smart thing for animals to want, because, you know, if it's running water, then it seems like it would be fresher than water that's just sitting there. I don't know whether birds... Do you need to put out a little fountain for them, or can you just put out a dish? I don't know. But, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Give birds something to drink. Apart from seagulls, because they can take a flying jump at themselves. Now, here's this story. It's not the story about the end of the world as we know it. That's to come. But this story, alarming. Feral seagulls are edging closer to killing a human, it has been claimed. It's the most alarming It's the most alarming warning yet over the terrifying flying threats, and a summit to deal with them is set to get off the ground. This is the Mirror. Get off the ground, they will. They'll get off the ground and come in low out of the rising sun. And about a mile out, we'll put on the music. We use Wagner. Scares the hell out of the gulls.
Rock and roll!
Former Scottish Tory leader Douglas Ross said humans risk killing... I'm not reading this very well at all. Former Scottish Tory leader Douglas Ross said humans risk being killed over the growing problem of kamikaze diving seagulls. Kamikaze? They're suicide gulls? I'm not sure that's true. Tory Rachel Hamilton claimed aggressive seagulls had attacked 7 children in just 1 month in Eyemouth last year. She went on to highlight how one girl had gashes to her scalp and blood running down her face after a dive-bombing attack. She said aggressive seagull behaviour continues to cause a real concern among businesses, among tourists, among everybody that has anything to do along the harbour, especially chip lovers, I bet. This comes after the people of Moray in Scotland were dive-bombed by these birds. In one case, an elderly woman broke her leg during a gull swoop. But there are dissenters, let's call them traitors to their own species, collaborators with the enemy, friends of the occupying regime. No! Jim Fairley, member of Scottish Parliament, said a summit on tackling the scourge of demented seagulls should not demonise the pest. I love that. That's the Mirror setting up a politician talking about not demonising gulls by calling them demented. Excellent journalism there. His fellow nationalist MSP Christine Graham said, language such as mugging and menace can be applied to us or our counterparts, but is not appropriate to demonise an animal simply looking for food. Yeah, but they're looking for our food. Highlands and Islands MSP Mr Ross said he had been inundated with reports about the dangers of gulls from constituents. They included a couple in the village of Hope Man, who were worried about going out of their home due to the aggressiveness of these birds. Jeff Thornbill, a Moray pensioner, said he and his wife were dive-bombed by a gull on Monday when they were out for a stroll. Strolling, apparently, is very dangerous. And Lucy Harding from the Nairn Business Improvement District said they'd received 85 reports of gull attacks in the last year alone. And you know what would improve Nairn's business district? Fewer gulls. I can't believe they're protected. There's so many of them. We need protection from them, not the other way around. But that's not the end of the world as we know it. That's just, a menace picking us off one by one. No, I'm talking about mass die-offs of everything on Earth that we hold dear. I'll come to that in a minute. This says, Nick, if you need to sneeze, stare up into a light and tap your chest. Rubbish. No, I'm not going to do that. Fife, Andy.
Oh, you made me laugh with those kamikaze seagulls.
Yeah.
Kamikaze, meow. The name of the Canadian Prime Minister is Mark Carney.
Mark Carney, yeah, that's right.
That's right. So that was that, but that wasn't what I was phoning about. And also, just before I go into what I was phoning about, was Imagine calling people illegal aliens. What a word to use for human beings, isn't
aliens,
it? It's just awful. But anyway, what I was talking about, following up about was the 1970s. When I was growing up in the 1970s, in my house, myself and my brother always played lots of music, so did my mum. So I was brought up with the 70s and 60s music. I mean, I'm in my 50s, but I've been to loads of concerts. I went to Live Aid, which I was really lucky to go to. Yeah, I was only 16. I've got a visual impairment, but I went. My mum came down to check if I was okay, but we never met up. I went down, and I can always remember going to the Live Aid concert, and then afterwards, I was going around looking for a B&B in King's Cross at midnight. I don't think many people would do that.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I just went down totally, utterly unprepared. I just went down and I thought, right, I'll find it. You would never dream of doing that, but I mean, with a visual impairment, I thought that was pretty good. Like, I was only 16, so.
Well, that's the kind of stupid thing that you used to do at 16. Yeah, I did that kind of thing myself. Went to the Stones at Wembley and had absolutely no way of getting back at the end. And so I slept on top of the machines in a laundrette in Wembley. That's
the station, that's being London Euston Station.
Yeah, young and stupid. That is. So were you up the front when Queen were on? Because they seems to me like they stole the show.
They did. I think they were on. But I can't remember when they were on. That so long ago.
It was very early. It was very early in the day. Yeah.
It wasn't quite near the. I remember queuing to go in, and I remember the Queen, and that was just for not. And I remember it finished off with Paul McCartney and Friends.
Right.
I think they finished it off.
Yes.
But I've been to some great concerts. I mean, one of my favourite concerts has been. I mean, I've been to tons of them. I went to one of my. I don't know if you agree, but I like 10cc. I went to see them. They were absolutely brilliant.
10cc was the first album I ever bought. Sheet music. 10cc. I think it's a marvellous record.
I went to see them. I'm actually going to see for the last time we're going to be performing as Jeff Lynne.
Oh yeah.
It's going to Hyde Park on the 13th of July, but I'm actually planning to go to Manchester. They've got that new, that new massive set, the Co-op down there now.
I don't.
So I'm going to see, and Paul Simon's great. And we went to see Paul Simon before he retired in 2018. Absolutely phenomenal, Nick.
Yeah, there's a couple of his concerts that have come around on TV lately of him doing Central Park on his own and with Art Garfunkel, and both are definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, well, I heard Art Garfunkel's not so good now, but I mean, I'm not sure. I couldn't possibly comment, but I know when we went to see Paul Simon, it was absolutely brilliant. I went to see Iron Maiden, Kiss, Rainbow.
Kiss.
I'd love to see the Stones.
Kiss. Yeah, what were Kiss like?
Kiss. They were pretty. They were really. I really liked them. I've seen Foreigner. Kiss were good. I mean, we saw them. They've made that many comebacks, haven't they? They keep saying Kiss. We're going to retire, then they come back again. You know.
Well, you don't. It's difficult to know whether it's actually them or not behind all that makeup. It could be anybody.
Well, it could be. We've got that much makeup, so we went to see. And I've seen all the ones that maybe you wouldn't be interested in seeing, but I maybe can't make a judgment on that. I've seen Elton John, Michael Jackson, Prince, all them, but they're not really your kind of people, are they? So
no, all of the above I would like. In fact, I saw Prince live, and it was a bit showbiz for me. Everything was so. I mean, an amazing talent, but it all looked very, very practiced and prearranged. It wasn't enough rock and roll in it for me. But anyway, good to talk to you, Andy. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. This text says, Nick, when you say they're great, you remind me of the Frosties advert of the early 2000s. Tony the Tiger, I believe. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Yeah. That was what I was going for. Leanne in Gibraltar says, did you notice that Austin Powers says he's only afraid of two things, nuclear war and small hands? Did he? Looks like Mike Myers had a premonition about the future, says Leanne. Yeah, because, Donny has famously weird hands.
Don't be rude.
Yeah. Just being truthful, Donny. I know you don't. I know you have an aversion to the truth. Dave in Bordeaux says it's forecast to be 39 degrees here on Tuesday. I've no idea what that is in your money. Too blooming hot, Dave. He says, on tonight's French television, we had 5 minutes of weather forecast before the nightly news. Before the news, on which the first 3 reports were about the weather, followed by another 5 minutes of the weather forecast. At some point, the centime will drop and we'll realise it's not normal weather. Realise that this not normal weather is now normal weather. Frightening. Why? I mean, that's a very, very convoluted sentence, and you can understand why I tripped over it. This not normal weather is now normal weather. Frightening, yeah. What time is it? Oh, blimey. Let's see if I can squeeze this one in. Albury, hello, Ranjit.
Nick, yeah, you're going to squeeze me in again, and you're just going to crash me into the
Well, you had no end of time last night, so, it's just fair.
Okay. Me and you agree on most things, right? And
apart from that,
politics.
Yeah. Apart from that, we agree on most things. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You know the guy from Australia that found in Melbourne? I got a lot of respect for him, but today I think, in a way he let himself down a little bit, right? Because all of the British people that went to Australia, they're going to actually realise where's their roots. Their roots weren't in Australia, it was the actual Aborigines, right? So he needs to think a little bit about before he calls...
Yeah, their roots aren't with the Aborigines. There's different people entirely.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
They were there first, for sure.
Yeah. So we went and invaded them, right? Yeah. So if he's got a umbrage about other people invading him, he's same as Trump. So I've got a lot of respect for him, but you know what? We'll let it pass. But if I can tell you a few things, right, this is where probably me and you are going to disagree today.
You've got 60 seconds to tell me a few things, so pick the order in which they're most important.
You got the left and the right, okay, and you got the spectrum. Like the lefties would bring an asylum seeker home. Righties would let them become shark bait, right? The truth is somewhere in the middle, yeah? Okay? Now, I've spoken to a family in Canada, and they were here last year. Their hotels are full of asylum seekers as well, yeah? I was talking to a taxi driver the other week going to hospital. He said to me, listen, they only get £7 or £8 a week, but we get paid £50 to take them to the supermarket. They go with their vouchers, they do all their shopping, and we bring them back, right? So the hotelier gets paid as well. So the truth lies somewhere in between what fraud is extremely making it one way and what the facts are, and we need to find those out before we divide and fight each other like that fella in Australia. But I'll speak to you next week then on this.
Okay, you're threatening to bring the show down next week as well.
No. Me and you agree on most.
Yeah, apart from that, we agree on most things. Yeah, that's right. That again. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Ranjit. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. The end of the world as we know it, coming next.
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Yeah, sure, why not? Okay, alarming news. You remember a while ago there was a big asteroid that was heading right at us? Yeah, well, now it's not. A huge asteroid that was thought to be heading towards Earth is actually on course for the Moon. The Moon. The city killer asteroid called YR4, which is the size of a 10-story building, was first spotted at the end of 2024 and is said to have a 3% chance of hitting the Earth. But it's much more likely to hit the Moon, which many of us have got quite attached to. I mean, not to the point that we could be bothered to actually come up with a name for it. I mean, it is a moon, and we've called it the Moon. I mean, that's just lazy. doesn't indicate quite how we would miss it when it's gone. I mean, if we didn't have the moon, we wouldn't have Moon Dance by Van Morrison. We wouldn't have Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. We wouldn't have When the Moon Hits Your Eye Like a Big Pizza Pie. That's Amore by Dean. Or Frank's Fly Me to the Moon, or Moonshadow by Cat Stevens, or Walking on the Moon by The Police, or Dancing in the Moonlight by Thin Lizzy, or Here Comes the Moon by George Harrison. And if you're thinking, no, you idiot, it's Here Comes the Sun by George Harrison, well, he wrote one called Here Comes the Moon too. That's a fact. He was into celestial orbs. Groovy. NASA's Centre for Near-Earth Orbit Studies has given the asteroid a 4.3% chance of smashing into the moon as early as 2032. And that probability has been steadily increasing after NASA gave it a 3.8% probability in April and a 1.7% probability in February. It's getting nearer.
What?
According to experts, if this asteroid did make contact with the moon, it would have a similar fallout to an atomic bomb. And scientists believe it would spark a meteor shower that could threaten our satellite systems. Or it could split the moon in two, and the effect of two moons, each having a totally unpredictable gravitational effect on all the water on Earth, could end all life as we know it.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm not a scientist, and I've got no idea what I'm talking about, but even if it isn't true, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. And Bruce Willis won't save us as he is indisposed. Australian National University astrologist and cosmologist Brad Tucker said just because the asteroid is no longer heading for Earth, it could still cause irreparable damage to this planet. He said, the odds it'll hit the moon are still only 4%, but that's a 1 in 25 chance. And if you put it like that, it sounds a lot worse than 4%, doesn't it? A 1 in 25 chance. He said it's unlikely that any fragments blasted from the surface of the moon would hit Earth, but there is a possibility that some debris could enter our atmosphere, putting vital satellites at risk of destruction. He said there could be a massive consequence in relation to them breaking up and creating their own ring of debris. I mean, just imagine that for a moment. A ring of debris that we couldn't do anything about, that would take out all of our satellites. Global connectivity would be completely lost. We'd have no navigation systems, financial markets would be inoperable, we'd have no money, we wouldn't know where we are, and we wouldn't be able to put pictures of our faces on the internet anymore. But that's not the worst of it. I'll read the worst of it in a minute. Won't be happy. Oh, and there's some alarming, literally alarming news, and I'll come to that in a minute as well. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hiya, Nick. How are you doing?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
Well, your news from Wales, so to speak. Mm-hmm. The Starmer addressed the Labour conference up in North Wales here today.
Yeah.
You've seen the bits of it on the telly.
I haven't.
It's not exactly riveting stuff.
No.
But he... Labour Party in serious trouble down this neck of the woods, Nick. They've been in power for beyond time, you know. Since
yes.
Keir Hardie was the first Labour MP ever to sit in the House of Commons, and he represented Merthyr Tydfil. But the thing is, they're in trouble for lots of reasons. Part of it is the unmentionable party, but mainly, I don't know if you're aware, but every single local authority in Wales has voted, and that's all political persuasions, have voted that the Crown of Estates should be devolved to Wales. Now, I don't know if you're aware of the Crown Estates, but they are a huge King Charles.
Now, does that include the seashore?
Yes.
Right.
And the sea around.
Well, you're not going to get away with that because they will resist that with great force.
They certainly will. It's been devolved to Scotland, believe it or not, but not to Wales. So they're pretty bitter about that. And it's a huge amount of money, as usual. And also, there's a strange thing called the Barnett consequentials. I don't know if you're aware of those. But they are, the idea being that if there's a major investment in England, then a certain amount of money must either go to Wales and Scotland in compensation to the fact that a lot of money is invested in England, then it should be proportionally given to Wales and Scotland. Now, they said that the HS2, which runs from London to Birmingham, is beneficial to Wales. They've also now proposed, well, we can't see it. I tried looking from the goose, but I can't see it. It's too far into England for me to see.
Well, I suppose that, in effect, if you improve transport in London, for instance, then it does benefit the whole of the country because London is the place where it makes all the money.
Yes, that's the argument. But in every other aspect, say NHS or something like that, there would be a Barnett consequential, but they are referring to it as an England-Wales rail development, HS2, and now they're proposing a railway line between Oxford and Cambridge.
Really?
And that, too, is going to be an England-Wales...
Right. Well, I suppose that makes sense as well because, that a lot of research gets done in both of those places and it would be beneficial to speed up the travel between the two, research centres.
But rail investment in Wales is not... It's all building up, Nick, to a bit of a disaster for the Labour Party, coupled with the influences of the Farage cult. You have
peddling the fantasies about vote for me, but please disregard the fact that I haven't been able to keep any of the promises I made about anything to do with Brexit. This time I'm really serious. Vote for me and all of these fantastical promises will come true. Your life will be just a dream. And if you believe that, I've got a genuine made-in-China Rolex watch I'd like to sell you.
And the end result of all this, Nick, is the Labour Party are in serious trouble, very serious trouble, and it's just a nightmare in the sense that we are looking at it. It's going to be a very short space of time. Next May, there's going to be the De Hoyt proportional representation system introduced for the very first time in the UK. In Wales, and it is beyond my comprehension. It is an impossible system, but it's going to mean a hugely divided vote at the end of the
well, that's probably a good thing. I mean, proportional representation seems to work for most of the countries in Europe. Our system, it seems bizarre to me that a party with almost always less than half the vote gets 100% of the power.
They picked the De Hoyt system because it favours the biggest vote. There are a number of different methods of proportional representation.
Right, well, if it's blowing your mind, Jeff, then... if it's blowing your mind, please don't explain it to me. I appreciate it.
Anyway, the thing is... his speech today, I don't know what it is about Starmer. He's all right, you know what I mean. But he just hasn't got it, has he?
Well, the thing is, I mean, the guy who's leading Canada, Mark Carney, he is kind of like Keir Starmer. He's a dull functionary. But he has really fashioned himself a backbone, this guy in Canada, and he's standing up to Donald Trump, and he's standing up for his country, and he sounds like the real deal. I mean, he sounds like, finally, like a leader with a bit of, and I'm sorry I'm going to have to use this word, Jeff, spunk. He's got a bit of spunk, and that's what we need here.
Well, this is look. Starmer, I understand he means well, but he just it's like as if he just folds at everything. He folds that when he was with Trump, that was excruciating when he gave him that envelope.
Well, the envelope, yeah. But that's what Trump does to people. I mean, there is a man that you have to tiptoe around because he's a whining baby who will use all of America as a weapon against you. That's who that is. So you have to tiptoe around the man, and you got to pick up things that he drops because he's 187 years old, for crying out loud. He can't bend over at the waist and pick things up from the ground. Not if it's not a golf ball, he can't.
I don't know where this is all going, but watch yourself.
Yeah.
Watch yourself.
All right. Okay, will do. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Thanks for the warning. I've decided to draw the curtains and never leave the house again. Seb says, I wonder how many Amazon vouchers were given to Jeff Bezos on his wedding day. Didn't know what to get you, so have this. Yeah. Hassan says, I cannot imagine teaching algebra or anything for 42 years. It would drive me mad. This in relation to a teacher yesterday who said he'd just retired after that period of time, and his students bought him a card. After 42 years, he got a card. Of course, I mean, if it was just a bunch of kids that he'd only taught for that 1 year, then, I suppose that's okay. Maybe he got something else as well. Maybe he got, like a golden clock to put on the mantle, something like that, or a watch or something, with which he can observe the passage of time. He hasn't got anything else to do these days, what with having given up work and all. But yeah, teaching the same subject to snotty kids for 42 years running, I mean, that would drive me mad as well. And this text from Laurie in Warwick says, I thought those capture pictures that test whether you're a robot or not were related to supporting driverless vehicles. That's why it's all traffic related. I don't know what I'm talking about on this or any other subject, but I'm going to say no. And furthermore...
No. This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
I know nothing. Jim in Hassock said, Nick, interesting what you said about robots and mouse movement. Yeah, if you missed it, you'll have to either listen to yesterday's show where I explained it and then somebody told us the bad news about mobile phones right at the end of the show, or this one earlier on when I sort of recapped. And, by the way, if you want to listen to this show and you can't listen to it all, then we put them up on the internet as a podcast. Oh, I think you'll find it a delight. It's exclusive to Global Player or the LBC app, both of which are free. And that's the only places that you will find Nick Abbott, The Whole Show podcast. That's what to ask for. Nick Abbott, The Whole Show podcast. And the idea is we take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it takes less time to listen to, which will give you more time to contemplate the takeover of the human race by robots.
Affirmative.
Jim in Hassock says, interesting what you said about robots and mouse movement. Next time I'm asked to check any boxes to prove I'm not a robot, I'll try to move the mouse in the straightest line that I possibly can. What do I do if the system says I am actually a robot? I think either your computer blows up or you're put on a list for deportation. Or an oiling. Make sure your joints are moving all right. Very important on a robot. Northolt, hello, Joanne.
Hi, Nick. I just wanted to say, you were talking about like billionaires some weeks ago, and then saying about how they spend all their money, and then like today you were talking about music. Well, I was just introduced you to a band called BTS. Yeah, they like philanthropists where they've been donating that money, like billions of money, to all kinds of charities, from like wildfires to schools for autistic children.
BTS, who are they?
Yeah, they're a South Korean K-pop band.
Oh.
Been going on for like 12 years now.
One of those singing haircut bands.
Well, yeah, but they've been going about 12 years now, and they're most successful. And they've only just come out of military conscription as well.
Oh, yeah. What, like
Yeah.
Elvis?
Yeah. But unfortunately, not in the white stupid haircut either.
I don't know anything about that K-pop phenomenon. I mean, every now and again I'll be on social media and something will be trending like, I don't know, Sunshine or Milk. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I'm curious, what's that about? And it's always about some sort of mystifying thing about a K-pop band. You know, one of the band members is called Milk or something like that. I have.
There's even one that was used. One of them used to be called Moonbeam.
Right, yeah, something
You're
like
talking
that.
about-
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but so then, this is like bands. They've been there about 12 years now.
The only thing
And,
I know about K-pop is that guy Gangnam Style.
No, this is not. This is like normal like pop like stuff. Things that you get in this country. In this country and stuff.
But that was
It's not
South
one
Korean,
mil-
though, right? Wasn't that South Korean, that Gangnam Style guy? Wasn't that South Korea?
Oh God, I haven't got a bloody clue.
Yeah, you know, the guy that did the dance like he was riding a horse.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like that. Yeah,
Right.
it's not like that.
No, you're talking about kids, like
Yeah.
boys under floppy haircuts who
That's it. Yeah, they're like
dance
a boy
about-
band. I mean,
Right,
they're
dance about
only
on
in
stage.
like their 30s now.
Right.
And so saying that they had
And they're
like
giving
5 billion.
their money away. Well, how about
Yeah,
that?
5 billion to
Billion.
autistic children or things.
Billion?
Billions.
As in pounds or Korean money? Korean money,
Well,
probably.
they've been doing it to all different countries as well.
Yeah.
Even they've done it to like Black Lives Matter.
I don't know what the exchange rate is, but
Yeah.
if it's a billion
I
of
think they've been
anything...
doing it in pounds and in dollars.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for the thanks for the update there, Joanne. I'm putting it on my list of things to be mildly interested about, but not to the extent that I'm actually going to watch any of it. Okay. Cheers, Joanne. 0345 6060 973. Oh, have you heard the alarming news? I'll come to that in a minute. Greetings from southern Germany, says this. Calling internet providers, online banks, etc. is just as bad over here. I usually end up shouting at my phone out of sheer frustration. Yeah, that doesn't work. They're not listening. They don't care what volume you're speaking to them at. They're not hearing it. They don't care about you. John says, I can't see global warming improving with the amount of hot air coming out from the Donald every day. Well, that's just rude. You're being very mean. And this says, people who hate gigs always complain about not being able to see or hear the band. You're supposed to be down the front, giving it your all. If you're not dancing, you might as well be watching it on the YouTubes. I agree. If you're a kid. If you're a kid, you've got to get up the front, otherwise it doesn't feel like you're there. That was always my feeling. If I was standing in the seat that my ticket prescribed, and it was more than about 3 rows from the front, then I had to get out of that seat and rush the stage. And you were allowed to do that in the 1970s. That's another good thing about the 1970s. No bouncer would come and tell you to stand where your assigned seat was. Health and safety wasn't really a thing then. Let's see. Who's been waiting the longest? Bath. Hello, Laura.
Hello, Nick.
Laura.
I really enjoyed hearing your origin story, earlier.
Origin story, yeah.
I just wish you told it after all the scary things that you said.
Oh, well, the worst is yet to come.
Oh, well, I mean, being a vet student and all, I'm always thinking about critical, creative ways of solving problems. Is there not any way
No.
we could,
No.
Is there not any way we
No.
can negotiate?
We're doomed.
Hold on a minute. Is there no way we can
No.
negotiate with the kamikaze seagulls?
Yeah,
we'll
what's
give
that
them
about?
20% of all chips produced, And if we get them on our side, like, you know, how they do in, like, the second Jaws film or whatever, they team up with the shark, could we get...
Hang on a minute.
One of them...
In the second Jaws film, they teamed up with the shark. That can't be true.
I haven't seen it, but I heard that they team up. They team up with Jaws to go after, like, a bigger shark.
They train a shark to kill another shark. No, that did not happen.
But anyway, if we got them on our side with chips or you know, use that sort of thing,
ice creams.
Could we use one of those to go after this asteroid, and then they could play that Aerosmith song while one of these kamikaze seagulls goes Bruce Willis on it?
You certainly have been thinking about this a lot, Laura, and I would suggest thinking about it less if this is the product of that process.
Well, I mean, I'm just, you know, creative problem solving for the end of the world.
Like they say in America, you're spitballing.
You had a texter in asking what actually happens if you successfully dupe the capture system to think you're a robot. So I think you unlock like a secret cutscene or something.
You unlock a portal in time, and then you're sucked through a black hole in space, and you arrive in an alternate universe where Donald Trump isn't the world's most powerful human, and everything is much better because of it.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
Never talk to the president that way.
Is it the same thing would happen if, you know how you dump people for builders talk on the show?
Yeah.
If you were to say a bad word and you had to dump yourself, would there be some sort of
consequence?
Vortex created?
No, I think...
If a host is dumped on LBC, would it sort of reverse time, that sort of thing?
Oh, no, I think it's much more simple than that. A spring-loaded spike that is secreted in the bottom of this chair would be launched, and that would be the last you'd hear of me.
You know, that reminds me, we really got to get up with the seagull thing, because if they go to the USA and they get hold of guns, there's going to be kamikaze seagulls with guns.
I mean, you're a vet person. What can you do about it? Why are seagulls...
You remembered
because
finally.
you just said it just now.
Good one.
Why can you not deal with seagulls? Why are they protected? There's so many of them. What are they protected from?
What do you mean you can't deal with them? I've dealt with them before.
Oh, I don't think you're allowed to say that.
I dealt with them as in outside of a veterinary sense, just in my spare time. Well, what do you mean? Can you elaborate? What do you mean you can't deal with them?
I don't think you're allowed to touch them. You're not allowed to interfere with them. You're not allowed to attack them, even if they attack you. You're supposed to leave them leave them alone, like they're an endangered species. They're not endangered. We are.
Well, clearly, but I mean, if there's a welfare concern, I mean, I've had a seagull brought in that was, needed help. Was I not allowed to help it?
Help?
Well, it was
like
poorly.
Financial assistance, you mean?
I'm not. Hey, I'm not going to go on the radio and get done for funding terrorist seagulls. You know, that'd be the end of my career before
I suppose so. Yeah. You have to be very careful about that whole terrorist seagull issue. Yeah.
But I can see it now. You know, you criticise Donald Trump for running the government like it's a TV show, but life can be a movie. That's how I get through things. Imagine a seagull doing that exact Apocalypse Now sequence. It would bring tears to your eyes. It's a magical way of looking at the world.
Yeah, well, that's a nice sentiment. Life can be a movie, but what kind of movie we're talking about? We're talking about The Shining. All right, gotta go. Thanks, Laura. 0345 6060 973. I think we're in The Omen, actually. And I think Trump's youngest son, Lurch, he's the grown-up Damien. I don't want to worry you or anything, but he's probably got 666 tattooed on the back of his neck. This says, "Hi, Nick. I had a haircut today, and the hairdresser is a big LBC fan. I mentioned a couple of your infamous callers from the local area, and it turns out they're both clients. Long story short, he has confirmed to me that they are complete..." Can't say that. They're they're a bit. A little bit. He says, to protect their identity, my name is Donald and I live in a big white house. Oh, okay. It's a listener with material.
Oh,
no. Never mind.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I am not one of your fans!
Okay, alarming news on the way. But first, I have to take some of these calls because these people have been waiting a dog's age. First of all, it's a lady in Tooting called Jan. Hello, Jan.
Oh, hi.
Yes,
Hi, good evening,
Jan.
Nick.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought I'd ring and share with you some thoughts about this Bezos, the wedding of the century that Bezos had in Vienna.
Mm-hmm. Venice.
Yeah, Venice. Sorry, not Vienna. Not Oxford. Venice. Yeah.
The other place beginning with V. Yeah.
but what intrigues me is that one of the things that intrigued me was that he's actually got a doppelganger.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got someone who actually looks like him.
Well, he's like the guy, the mini-me in Austin Powers.
And he actually gave up his job to take he left his job as a former transport worker and is a full-time Bezos doppelganger.
Is that something you can earn money at?
Yeah, well, it's obviously it's working for him, and even the journalists sort of. They were following him, but he's making a full-time living out of being Bezos's doppelganger.
How can you make a living out of that, though? Who would want that?
He gave up his job.
Yeah, he gave up his job, right enough. Okay, I understand that, but who's booking him?
I don't know. He's even fooled Amazon's employees. It says when he's even fooled Bezos's employees.
Yeah.
But he was in Venice.
Right.
No, but what intrigues me, Nick, is that 46. What is it? This wedding of the century, 40 something.
Oh, wedding of a century, my eye.
Million.
So what? Some guy with more money than he knows what to do with spent a boatload of cash trying to impress his woman. I mean, why does that make it the wedding of the century?
Nick, it's just 3 days then.
I don't care.
No, I'm trying to work out what is they say there's a traditional phone party. It started with a phone party.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the hell that is.
Well, I tell you what it is. It's an absence of class is what it is.
And then people hitting golf balls from the yacht into the sea. I mean, it's
morons. Morons.
Then also, it's a 3-day event, remember? So there was a party, a pajama party.
Mm-hmm.
Was part of it, and as well as a themed event on the Great Gatsby before the actual ceremony.
Right. All of which sounds appalling to me. And all of the women look like they've been, all of their body parts have been replaced with plastic.
But all the famous people, Oprah Winfrey,
they're rich and shameless. Yeah, I know. They're in great numbers.
Yeah, 200.
Every single
200.
one of them weigh half what they did last year. Curious.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it, to spend so much money?
Yeah, but it's nothing to him, though. £40 million doesn't even touch the sides. It's an insignificant amount. It's the cash that, for us, we'd find in the ashtray of our cars.
Yeah, but
I'm not impressed.
You're not impressed?
No, I'd be more impressed if the people that he works, that work for him, didn't have to claim benefits in their various countries because their wages are so small.
Yeah, although he donated just $3 million to the town.
Yeah, big deal.
For something, but that's peanuts to him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nothing at all. No, it's an embarrassingly small amount. Everything about him is embarrassing. I mean, his face is ludicrously pumped up physique, like he spends all day long in the gym just working on his arms. I mean, he's just a ridiculous person.
And his doppelganger.
Yeah, is impersonating a ridiculous person for a living. Yeah.
For a living, yeah. Well, he's probably making money, though.
Well, I very much doubt it because I can't imagine what he would be making money doing. I mean, there's the people who impersonate Donald Trump, and I could understand why they are employed, for a little light entertainment at the end of a boring business dinner. I get that, but I don't even know what what Jeff Bezos sounds like. I mean, if somebody who is bald and looks a bit steroidal showed up at a function as the entertainment, how would you know if he sounds like Jeff Bezos? Because I've got no idea what Bezos sounds like.
But things are strange, though, because there used to be someone who was a doppelganger for the Queen and other famous people.
Well, I get that. Yes, I understand that, because you know what the Queen looks like. And the Queen is also, you know, she's world famous and is amusing, and somebody impersonating her doing odd things would be funny. But Jeff Bezos, who cares?
Well, yeah. I mean, he got quite a lot. He got protests in.
Yeah, I know.
Venice,
quite right too.
But and people were protesting about why didn't he invite his doppelganger to his wedding as well.
Well, those people have got a little bit too much time on their hands. Yeah. All right. Good. Thanks for updating us, Jan. Appreciate it. 0345 6060 973. This text says 2 reasons they give you food on planes. 1, it keeps you in your seat. And 2, people are less active and more docile after eating, which is not a bad thing when you're 20,000 feet into the air. Yeah, well, that's a good point. And on that subject, Pete says, not true, Nick. I've flown numerous times first class, and it's always worth it. No, I just don't buy that. I refer you to my argument that I gave some while ago, that if a first class flight to, let's say, New York costs, and I really don't know, so I'm going to guess, £7,000. If I offered you £7,000 to sit in a relatively comfortable seat that doesn't go flat for 7 hours, would you take it? Yes, you would. So it's not worth it. It says, Nick, one of your messages said the rhythm section was the most important and you disagreed. As a guitarist in a band, I must disagree. That's the only reference point I have. Well, yeah, but nobody goes to listen to the drummer, do they? Or the bass player. I mean, you might, but as the guitarist, people are showing up to listen to you, not the drummer or the bass. All they've got to do is keep time. I mean, you could have one of those click tracks in your ear. It would work as well. No, I'm not buying that. Sorry. And Jim in Somerset says, I just watched iRobot with Will Smith on TV for the first time in years. We are doomed, says Jim. It's not the robots that take over, it's AI.
Affirmative.
Yeah, that's right. It's coming for us. Doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not, it's going to affect you anyway, like climate change. The takeover of the planet as we know it by artificial intelligence. And this says, Nick, you just mentioned Roger Chapman. I went to see him once when he was with the band Family. Amazing voice. Better than old Rodders. Yeah, I agree. Loved the song In My Own Time. Wonder what happened to him. Yeah, I wonder what happened to him. I mean, it was a while ago that I saw him. He was supporting The Who, one of the bands supporting The Who. And that was 1976, I think. And he was phenomenal then. That album, Red Card, one of my favourite albums ever, by Streetwalkers. And I have absolutely no idea what happened to him. I'll look it up. But not now, because, I'm up to my eyeballs at the moment. This says, Nick, is Trump taking away the right to citizenship to everyone not born in the US so he can lie about Obama again and then deport him? And if Obama is deported, can we have him? Yeah, you remember Obama, don't you? When the world was sane? Yeah, exactly. Well, if Trump is taking away the right to citizenship of everyone who was not born to an American citizen, then that would be his own wife and all of his kids. I mean, I would say he doesn't think these things through, but that's just apparent, isn't it? Thinking, not his speciality. Cornwall. Hello, Malcolm.
Oh, hello, Nick. How are you?
Yes, sir. Good, thanks.
Can I ask you a question, personal question?
No.
Oh, God. I'm going to ask you anyway. What's your favourite swear word?
My favourite swear word?
Yeah.
My favourite swear word is that.
I was going to say, you can say it or we can dump it or not.
Yeah, but I'd have to trust you to do it.
I just want to know whether LBC are callous enough to do with your stool what they said, what you said they would.
Yeah, it's a spring-loaded spike directly beneath me that gets deployed in an emergency.
Yeah. Hey, I had to ring in because it was during the call from Jeff in Wales.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a fellow Welshman, and I've been out of Wales for way, way longer than I lived in Wales.
Mm-hmm.
But my view from outside Wales is pure, and I love the place. But what, in my 40-odd years out of Wales, one thing looking back in that breaks my heart is that people, even to this day, people say that Wales is not a country. And
who says that?
Well, people.
People.
The point is,
I want the names of these people.
No, but hear me out. The point is, these people, they say it's a principality. It's not a country. It's a principality, and you can't be a country because you can't have your own monarch because we give you a prince. He's called the Prince of Wales.
Mm.
Now, that might sound a little bit controversial, but as a Welsh person, you rise above it and you see that it's a parlour game that's played in England. Wales is a country, a proper, fantastic, one of the best in the world countries.
It's certainly one of the most beautiful, no doubt about that.
Now, for me, there's so many levels at which you can look at patriotism, nationalism, home, what are you a part of, what are you not a part of. And I was always, as you'll be aware, a proud European, but a proud Briton and an even more proud Welshman. But Wales without Europe and Wales without the UK, and of course Europe without Wales, and the UK without Wales is much less.
Well, it's less with the exact measurement of Wales.
So I
you know what's as big as Wales?
Yeah, go on.
Wales.
Yeah, but I just think that the whole national, the country thing, it's farcical. But I just think that the Farage thing in England, before I came on, I looked up at the population of Wales. There's 3 million of us.
Mm.
There's 3 million of my fellow Welsh people living within the border now, and there's a lot of us outside of the border. Now, we're famous, Nick. You won't know this, but I'll let you into a secret. The Welsh people are famous for being missionary workers, in that so many of us left Wales to become school teachers in England to educate the English young people.
Right.
And I'll give you some names of cities that are famous for the numbers of Welsh school teachers. Birmingham is very, very famous for the number of Welsh school teachers who taught in Birmingham.
But doesn't Wales need teachers? Why are they leaving Wales that is in want of teachers to teach the good people of Birmingham?
Now, you just picked up on something that makes me scream.
Thank you.
I'm a very, very proud Welshman. I love Wales, but I could not teach in Wales. I'm a qualified teacher of many years.
Yeah, why can't you teach in Wales? Because you'd have to teach in Welsh.
Because I can't speak Welsh.
Right.
But the point is, Nick, I doubt in Wales whether there's more than 1 in 10 children who is taught in Welsh. Now, I went to primary school, Nick, where they're talking about a 2-tier system for this, that, and the other. But we had a 2-stream system. Half of my primary school were taught in Welsh. We called them the Welsh kids, right? And we were all Welsh. But I was in a classroom. I was being taught in English.
I thought it was. Part of the curriculum that you had to learn Welsh in Wales.
Oh, yes, but the point is, Nick, there are so many Welsh people who are Welsh learners, and it sounds bizarre, I know, but there's the perfect example. I, a Welsh school teacher, perfectly qualified, could not teach in a school in Wales because I don't speak Welsh.
Yeah.
And I find that so sad.
Well, I think, isn't it more prominent in the north of Wales, Welsh speaking?
No, look, there's a question in itself. There's not animosity, but there is some feeling of, well, there's an issue of purity. The North Walians, we in the south call them gogs, right? But they speak
Wait a minute. Have you just said something racist on this show? That sounds awful.
No, because we're all Welsh.
Okay, then.
Well, how can I be racist to a fellow Welsh person by saying something about them?
Well,
it's impossible. But anyway, look. The language...
Oh, wait a minute. That was fabulous. Did I get any on you?
No. I'm clean. I'm clean still. But look, the point is this, right? It's a different language up there to the south, and it's a very, very... Here we go. Speaking of Jeff, very, very different accent. I could listen to Jeff all night, but there are Welsh accents that I, a Welshman, find... I think, it's great. Now, if you speak to an English person or a Scots person, I bet a large number would say, "Oh, the Welsh accent is lovely," but they don't get like.
Well, it's different. Like the Irish accent is different because the people in the north are and the people in the south are
Yeah,
it's a little bit like that.
But Jeff is from an area where he is the right end of the valley.
Yeah, okay, and you can listen to him all night. I get it. I'll give him your phone number, and you can chit chat at length. Huh?
You give him my number all the time. Anyway, Nick, that's it from me, my friend.
Okay, it sounds like the end to be. Good work. Thanks a lot, Malcolm. Sam in Cambridge says, I think Trump has got the strops because his invitation to Jeff Bezos' wedding obviously got lost in the post. Yes. Huh. You'd think he would have liked to go there. You know, all those famous people that he would like to surround himself with, if any of them liked him. Donald Trump. And I bet that the company Amazon is going to get it in the neck in some way or other relatively shortly because Donald Trump is nothing if not somebody who harbours a grudge. It seems to be the reason for him living. It's what he gets his strength from, grudges.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
We are running late. Robin Chertsey says, Nick, you were correct about the increase in the heat from the sun because our protective magnetosphere has depleted by 27%, allowing more solar radiation through, plus dangerous cosmic radiation. The magnetosphere is depleting by 5% every decade, and it is this which is causing climate change and not the CO2 that we are forced to believe, says Rob. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I'm going to say no. Gabriel in Hackney says, Rod Stewart saying give Farage a chance is rich, considering the public gave him a chance in 2016 with Brexit, and look where it got us. 4% loss in GDP, increased prices on food, clothing and footwear, and rising immigration, which is, let's face it, what all those Brexiteers voted against. I'll pass, thanks, says Gabriel. There's absolutely no evidence that anybody that was proposing that we leave the European Union had suggested that that food, clothing and footwear would get cheaper.
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away by getting rid of the protectionist anti-trade tariffs that the EU imposes, and it would be very good for the British people and it would provide certainty. And I think once there's certainty, the country will begin to reunite.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything. Still doesn't know anything, and we're still not missing you, smug. But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed with David Cameron, where they keep the tools. Mark in Gloucester says, I just dropped my phone down the toilet, but it's working. The screen's gone wonky, but you're still loud and clear on the app. You dropped me down the toilet?
What?
Camden. Hello, Max.
Oh, gosh. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay.
No.
Well, in that case, you can. Sorry. You caught me unawares there.
I tell you what, Max, I'll put you on hold and I'll come to you next Friday. How's that sound?
Awful. Can I talk to you now?
Very briefly. Go ahead.
Okay. 2 very quick points. On the 70s, the things I loved were germaline, the smell, and Vesta beef curries, which were so exotic.
Yeah, just don't get the two mixed up. Like if you're planning dinner, then both on the same plate, bad idea. Max, I've got to go because I have to do this story about the alarm. This alarming story. The UK will test its emergency alarm system for the first time in 2 years as the government prepares Britain to prepare for war.
What?
War. All UK devices will blast out an alarm tone later this year in the new test of the emergency alert system designed to warn the public if there is a danger to life nearby. Like if you find yourself on a night bus or you're accidentally driving through Streatham. This latest test comes as the government's security strategy warns that the UK homeland could come under direct threat in a wartime scenario. Well, that tends to be what happens in a wartime scenario. You come under direct threat. Name me a war that doesn't involve direct threats. Apart from the War of the Roses, which was 2 flower arrangers having a tiff, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what that was. I could look it up, but that's homework. I'll just assume that I'm right. The renewed testing of the emergency system comes at a time when escalating conflict in the Middle East has sparked concerns of a wider war between nuclear powers. You know, I thought nuclear weapons were supposed to keep us safe. You know, MAD, mutually assured destruction. I suppose that only works if the human race isn't being represented by a tangerine crybaby with bad makeup and a hair don't.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
No, Donny, we're still stunned. When it was first tested, the emergency system sent messages to phones which read... It said, severe alert. This is a test of emergency alerts, a new UK government service that will warn you if there's a life-threatening emergency nearby. It said, in a real emergency, follow the instructions in the alert to keep yourself and others safe. Visit government.uk/alerts for more information. This is a test. You do not need to take any action. That's what it said, in full. But we didn't read past the words... severe alert, because that's how it started. We didn't read past that, and we immediately went online to buy toilet rolls. It's that instinctual reaction now. And the emergency alert system is designed to quickly inform the public of an impending threat. According to the government, this could include severe flooding, wildfires, extreme weather events, or, if Reform have won most seats on your local council, and their first order of business is to appoint the flag police.
Oh, no.
Hang on. Once the alert is sent, all phones in the affected area will make a loud siren-like sound. They'll vibrate and read out the warning. And the warning will say...
Emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street.
And the sound and the vibration will trigger even if your phone is set to silent. There'll be no getting away from it. And the government doesn't even need to know what your phone number is in order to send this message. And all phones will automatically trigger the alert, which I do believe is interfering with our business. I mean, we say we don't want to hear from them, and they call us anyway. Like they're those online shops that don't take, please unsubscribe me from all of your emails as a hint. I've got enough sunglasses, thank you very much. Stop sending me adverts for more. I've only got one face.
Correct.
And the next nationwide test of the emergency alert system will occur at some point in the coming year. The exact date is to be announced. It'll be a surprise. Probably when we're in the cinema. And Tom Cruise is about to wrestle a real shark while crashing into an exploding volcano in a Second World War Zeppelin. And Japan has got one of the most sophisticated systems in the world. It combines satellite and cell broadcast technology, while ours is run by a crack team of work-experienced people and a rotary dial phone. The US has got a similar system to ours, except the alert makes a red MAGA hat drop from the ceiling like an oxygen mask on a plane. Please fit your own MAGA hat before helping others with theirs. It'll keep you totally safe. And we aren't the only ones worried. Earlier this year, the EU issued advice to its 450 million residents to stockpile emergency supplies to last 72 hours. And I did that. I got in enough food for a long weekend, and then I ate it all. I mean, there wasn't an emergency. I was just hungry and I fancied it. What a way to run a household, eh?
Dreadful. 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 Dreadful.